không thể bị chính phủ hoặc tập đoàn kiểm duyệt hoặc gỡ xuống. Và ngay sau đây, xin mời quý vị đến với một phiên thảo luận đầu tiên trong buổi chiều ngày hôm nay với chủ đề Building a Web3 Community. Trong phần này, chúng ta sẽ thảo luận về những lợi ích của việc xây dựng một mạng xã hội phi tập trung và có thể tổng hợp đầy đủ trong Web3, cũng như những thách thức phải vượt qua để có thể biến điều này thành hiện thực. Please welcome to the stage, mời lên sân khấu Mr. Chess, CEO of Quest and CEO of Hogwarts Labs, Mr. Ilan Hoan, Head of Global Development, Cyber Connect, Miss Irene Zhao, Founder at SoCo, and our moderator, Mr. Lại Hồng Phong, Head of Business Development from Coin68, Coin68. Xin trân trọng mời các diễn giả và chủ tọa lên sân khấu để mang đến những chia sẻ hấp dẫn cho quý vị của chúng ta ngày hôm nay.
All right. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that you guys have recovered after a lunch break and we are ready to share some interesting together today. So within our panel today, as you already know, that we're gonna share about Web3 social network, and we're gonna debate some myths around it and share about some challenge and also some opportunity when building a Web3 community. So sitting with me here today are truly professional from a really huge company and also project in the industry, but I will let them to introduce them first. So start with Irene.
Hello everyone, this is Irene, the founder of DAO and SoCo. So before starting SoCo and for the past 7 years, I have been very actively building my own personal branding across different social media platforms. So right now I have about 500,000 followers across Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. So during this process, I built a very strong connection with a lot of big brands like Shopee, Lazada, Grab, and Razer. But to be honest, it kind of sucks because even though I have such a huge following of followers, I don't really get most out of it. So I don't really own my content, I don't really own my community. And the only way for me to monetize is actually through doing a lot of sponsored content and doing a lot of advertisement on my Instagram, which is kind of dilutes my personal branding. Because what I really enjoy doing is really creating content and being myself. So I know I have a huge following. I want to build a community around it. So as a social experiment, I created DAO, which is the first created DAO in the crypto space. So it was, to my surprise, it's like a success because we had 2,000 ETH trading volume within the first week. So I asked myself, if it works on me, it probably works on other creators as well because there are so many influencers that are much hotter and are much more talented. But the problem with Web3 is just too hard for any Web2 creators to get into the space. Therefore, we created SoCo, which is a decentralized social media platforms for all the creators to create their own versions of DAO at a click of button. So our website is soco.xyz. I hope everyone can go and try it and let us know what's your feedback. Thank you.
Hi everyone, this is Ilan from CyberConnect. In short, CyberConnect is a social graph protocol, decentralized social network, to support creators like Irene, and also to let creators like Irene to own their data, own their identity, own their community. Yeah, that's the short version. Now we begin with the official one. So CyberConnect is the earliest and also biggest Web3 decentralized social network. We have around more than 1.2 million registered users on-chain within the protocol. We, as a protocol, also have more than 50 decentralized applications built on top of the protocol, tapping into social media sectors and also gaming sectors and some other shopping sectors wherever there's social, there's a connection, there's a possibility of social networks. Also, one of the projects built by our own team, so it's a leading flagship product built by CyberConnect is Link3. Link3 currently has around 1 million monthly active users, and also more than 2,300 verified organizations, including Coin98, including Coin68, including BNB Chain, Arbitrum, DYDX, Rarible, yeah, many other probably projects in the audience today. They're using Link3 to engage with the community, to better post content, host events, and also to create a better sense of belonging and also value alignment within the community. And a final update about CyberConnect, we launched our token about 2 or 3 months ago and finished our public sale on CoinList, which sold 3% of our token supply. We're going listed in around October, November this year. So now is the best time to coming together to build with us and also to keep building the future of the decentralized network, which we're going to dive into today. Thank you.
Hey guys, I'm Chas from Crescent, and what we do is like a full stack of Web3 marketing and growth engine. So we want to like help all the Web3 communities and projects to grow and do marketing. And now we can support all the projects, like we support 4,000 plus projects using us daily, every month, and to create their own campaigns. And in the future, you can use us, like try to connect more communities, KOLs and influencers, and even can pay for ads through our platform. So that's what we do. And also we can help you to guys manage your communities, leverage your users, and know what kind of users are your loyalty users and what are your best users. So yeah, that's what we do. We focus on like the whole Web3 marketing, and yeah, that's what.
Yeah, thank you for the introduction. Very clear and get a lot of detail. And if you guys are a reader of CoinCJ, I think you guys already like pretty familiar with the project that they are building. But I see a lot of new faces here, newcomer to the market. So the first question I would like to address to Yilan. So can you help me like briefly and simply explain like what is the decentralized social network and what is the key element for that kind of social network?
Okay, that's a very big question, but a very important one. I'm going to throw it out here with a short answer first. I think decentralized network, social network is exactly what the original web was meant to be. So basically, you know, when the web, when the internet was invented, it was meant to be, you know, connecting different people, you know, different servers across the whole world, and so people can, you know, talk to each other, can collaborate on the different projects, be it in a military or maybe in the social sense or maybe in the creator sense. So that was the original idea of the internet. So to connect people, to let people to collaborate and to talk to each other. But you know, somehow like, you know, we've been on a detour, so to speak, you know, especially with Web 2 kind of platforms, because in the end we have to go all the time through the platforms to use the service. So in a way, we're giving out our data control, our data ownership to the platforms in exchange of the services and convenience. But I think that's only there's a lot of like drawbacks in that kind of model, like the platform-centric model. We see that a lot, especially with the creators, and you know, they don't own their data, they don't own their community, and they're basically, you know, living on the arbitrary kind of like rules imposed by the platforms. But that is only the detour we made. But we still have the vision for the web, and now it comes in a Web 3. Now we can really decentralize the whole ownership, you know, process ownership like model of the data. So we can give the data ownership back to the users or creators, so they can take that to any other platforms they want, and they don't have to be locked down into one platform. So I think like the keyword here, another keyword probably for a decentralized social network would be, it's not going to be a platform-centric social network anymore, but it's going to be a user-centric social platform, social network. So people can just, you know, it's going to be freely, people can freely move around, connecting with each other, and also talk to each other, which is exactly the vision we envisioned, you know, back in the 80s when we invented the internet.
Yeah, thank you for the really clear answer. And that's from the technical side and also the platform side. And I would like to follow up with a question for Irene Zhao. When you come in with the idea to build a Web3 community, so what are the key elements that you want to focus to create something that where people can hang out and can connect to each other?
I think to create a Web3 community, I think incentive, like tokenized incentive, is the beauty of Web3. I mean, of course, like most of projects probably overuse it, but giving the users too much like free airdrop or free tokens, so the main incentive for them is probably profit. But I still think for all the early supporters and all the early developers who are really engaged deeply in the community, you have to give them enough incentives. Like when you do the airdrop campaign, when you have these campaigns where you can find the bugs in your codes or in your platform, you have to give them incentive give them enough tokens for them to really show your project to the fans around them. And also, even in a bear market like this, I still think it's very important to build publicly and transparently to show the users step by step how you want to involve the project and how you want to build it, and what kind of features the users really want, and what kind of features the creators really want. Because for us, creators is our main users, and we really talk to a lot of different creators from different spaces like music, video, dancing, like live streaming. We ask them what's the like challenges you face when dealing with your fans, and also we will ask fans, what do you really want from your favorite creators? Because we really want to revolutionize how the fans and the creators can interact with one another through NFTs. And also, besides all this, what I said just now, I also think having a very loyal and supportive community is really the main or the most important things for you to overcome this bear market and stay relevant until the bull market comes back.
Nice. And when it comes to engagement, Question is really a platform that we love to explore more about it. So in Coin6j, we have done a lot of like marketing campaigns on that, and we got a huge objection. And it's also my personal curiosity. That's how can you guys build a platform that had a lot of objection, and how can you guys retain user after they come to your platform?
Yeah, I think the first case like. We insist like the product lead growth, like no BD, no marketing. The key only case is your product, and retention. The key of retention is not earning. Earn is a part of things, but I think most important is you need to solve some part of the features or the users need out of earns, because only earn long time is for a long time is still like a it's a Ponzi or something. So we think. In the first day, I think we combine the two features. Like one is all the projects want to have airdrops to their users, and all the users want to earn some airdrops. So this is the first step for us. We're building a flying wheel for the growth. And the second is we think is for retention you need need a better UX UI, and you have some other parts of the feature. The users really think, oh, it's a kind of cool product and I want to use it every day. And so we still have some new products we are releasing this year, and we want to solve more features and solve more problems in our industry. And the last one is, I think, compared to retention, it's all about calculating. Now in crypto, I think in bear market, we maybe only have like 5 million users, maybe not too much. So if you compare to the 8 billion users in the earth, like I still think the biggest thing still is acquisition, not retention. And by the way, like for the whole online marketing revenue each of the year, it's like 1,000 billions from Google, Facebook, and many ad platforms. So I think in the future, if we really like move bridge many Web2 users into Web3, and if we can change the more and more online marketing phase to Web3 into tokens, I think that would be a really great revenue and can share to anyone. Just imagine now I saw some ads like on Twitter, on SoCool, on CyberConnect, and I can claim my tokens every day because the advertiser use my data, and they should give me the data. I like WeChat, I like Twitter. You should share their revenue to users. That's the things Web2 giant company never will do. And I think that's a key that Web3 company can do, and from the day one.
Yeah. So based on your sharing, so that leads me to a question that right now there's a lot of like debate about like how Facebook, Twitter, and also Instagram, they compromise the user privacy. So they store and they sell the data of the user. So that's what we're trying to do in the Web3. We try to protect it. But how do we compromise between user privacy and also the content recommendation? So content is like the must-have things for a social network. So how can we find a common ground to settle that?
For me? Yeah. Oh yeah. I think in our mind, I think all the Web3 super app in some days, maybe in 1 years later, they definitely will build their layer 3, or like at least it's an app chain, because the difference between Web2 and Web3 is like the data. Where you storage the data. It's in AWS, in Google Cloud, or on-chain, or like Arwave or Filecoin. So if you want to storage all the data on-chain, you need to build your app chain, because the gas token is still expensive. You need to like pay all the token to your users, like Web2. Like we use Twitter, we use Instagram. We don't need to pay the data, right? Facebook will not charge us. And so this is the first way. And I think second is there will be many ZK vault. I call it this data vault. Once the user use some product and their data was on chain, and the data was stored in their data vault. Only they have their case, but they can stake their case to some validators. It's like in Web2, it's like a advertisement agency. Like I'm a Google advertisement agency, and I will contribute to the advertisers and charge them, and then contribute to the whole network. So I think the user can give the key to the validator. A validator will be help the users to sell or use their data for the profit, and then share the profit back to users. So last things, I think AI in the future will be the biggest data buyer, no matter like for advertising, for analysis, for DID, for many things. So AI will be, because AI are both. So both communication only can use tokens. They don't know like Vietnam and Dong, or RMB, or Singapore dollars, right? So they only know tokens. Yeah.
So Yidan, do you have any input?
Yeah, I think it was very interesting that you mentioned about the storage part, right? Like as a CyberConnect, we actually, especially we're dealing with social, there's a lot of data, coming up in a very dynamic and very, very large quantity. It just doesn't make sense to store everything on chain. So we start in the very beginning with a hybrid model. So we only store the scarce and also like monetize kind of like content or identity data on chain, but most of them will be off chain. We're gonna keep doing that, and also like the key here is to really make sure that users will have the control, but at the same time they don't have to to bear the burden of the control. That's one thing we are definitely keep building on. The other thing is I would feel like especially from a protocol perspective, now it's a great panel today. We have a protocol, we have a product, and we also have like creators. It's like different parties in the same the same industry. As a protocol, we're thinking about in a more like high level or like in generic level. So there are different roles to play by different parties. For the protocol, we have to ensure the basics that works, for the users. We have to ensure that the users really control the data, own the data, and also users will have the control. Like by owning the data, I mean, it's not just about you can monetize that, but you can actually make choices to showcase selective part of it to different parties in different contexts, and that is a real part of control and also owning. So as long as we can provide those kind of basics to the users and to the creators. The other things left were to the indexers and also to the product builders and the UI UX. So we're going to build like a social layer that is basic underneath all the social contexts and all the social applications. As long as the users have the freedom to move around different contexts and also different applications, they will be the one to vote by their feet or by their thumbs, into different apps and to choose their own ways of, their preferred ways of treating privacy, their preferred ways of treating, moderation, their preferred ways of also, treating how the data is going to be used in the platform. So I think that's a basic level we're going to do. But we're looking forward to work with more products and also creators to find out the best ways, the more diverse ways of dealing with that as well in the ecosystem.
Yeah, and for Irene, it's interesting that you mentioned about the incentivize of content creators to come to Web3 and so on the centralized social network. But from my observation, so like the content creator, they don't really like care about like Web2 or Web3. They just do their work. And so from building a platform for NFT, so how can you incentivize the content creator to step into the blockchain more?
Yeah, I think this is a very interesting question because we really spend a lot of resource talking to the creators why you should embrace Web3. Because for the creators, unless their account was taken down by Facebook or by OnlyFans or by Instagram, they don't really care about decentralization. They only care about monetization. So in another way, how we convince them is like we don't really talk about how you can monetize. We talk about how you really own your content, how you really own your community. Because on a general level, creators don't really engage with their fans at all. So OnlyFans, like Patreon, is a very low level of interaction. So you pay a subscription fee, and you get exclusive content. So one to consume, one is to produce. But on Web3, which is like we can interact with one another on a much deeper level, this is especially relevant for grassroots creators. So how we convince the creator is that if you want to be 100 times more powerful than who you are right now, you have to give the share of your community back to the users, back to the fans who actually supported since day one. So how can they invest? They can invest either financially by buying your NFT, or can they invest socially by working for your NFT project? So in this way, you have one aligned goal, which is to grow the community bigger and better. So when it grows bigger, the fans can also reap the benefits, reap the financial rewards. And this is how you can actually improve together as a community.
So that was the side from content creator, and I also want to bring up the incentivize things to CyberConnect when looking at the side of retail users, the community. So how do you guys gonna incentivize that via token or any kind of like model that you guys gonna incentivize people to use?
Yeah, I think like Irene made a very good point already. There are two parts of it. One is about like financial, tokens or financial incentives, which is very important and also very, new and something very powerful we have now in Web3. But besides that, by the way, like on that front, at CyberConnect, like ourselves, we're allocating like 12% of the whole token supply to the community contributors. So that's the way, because CyberConnect is doing the social network protocol. We have a lot of people building together. We're not doing that ourselves. We have like ecosystem projects and also the contributors and users and creators. So it's very important to really recognize every piece of contribution from the day one all the way to the future. So we're gonna dedicate that. We're gonna share more information about that later. But also I think besides the financial part, it's also very important about the what brings the community together is not just the token. It's actually the same, shared vision and shared, value systems. And that's exactly, especially the case in the creators, right? Because you have a leader, and the people will follow the leader, and people will follow the same lifestyle. And so yeah, like it's also important to maybe use Quest 3 or Quest N and some other, platforms and some other tools to create that sense of, shared vision, shared social capital, shared, value system. And once you have that belongingness, and people will contribute to that in the long run. And then you couple that with incentives, and that will be a more sustainable model, and especially a sustainable model that's unique in Web3 and that is not accomplishable by Web2 companies.
Yeah, I know we pretty ran out of time, but there's one question that I really want to bring up to you guys, especially for Jess. So I think that the thing we say here is really useful, really insightful, but it's pretty exclusive for people who already have the experience in the crypto and blockchain. So what is your advice for people who right now, after this panel, after today, they're going to start exploring the decentralized social network? So what is your advice for them to start diving into this topic?
Yeah, I think we still have a lot of chance to doing the social. Like for Threads, they just like 1,000 users for one day, but it's because of Instagram and Facebook, right? And compared to all the, for me, I have 2 points about social. I think one is on the earth, there are still a lot of people, they cannot fulfill a very good needs through now all the product, like even if for Telegram, WhatsApp, WeChat, or Twitter. Like if I'm LGBT, I cannot use most of the platform because the content may be sensitive, many things. So if I'm a Web3 social product manager, I maybe do something you need to do something social product for potential target user first, and then you try to I want to broaden my potential users and more. And second is social in the future will be the basic feature as a wallet. So social as a service will be the many apps, because in Web2, the connection is building in different projects. I have many followers on TikTok and on YouTube. They are not the same, right? I even pay a lot of money on TikTok. Once I go to YouTube, I still be a poor guy, and no girls will be cheating on you. And but in Web3, all the connection building on your address. So if you have your address, once that from A product to B, my connection, my reputation will be bring on me. So that means no one social product in Web3 will have the threshold, maybe I have so many traffic, I have so many connections. So I think the social will be a basic feature. Even if you are trading, even if you are DEX, you can maybe as a rainbow hood or something to building DEX with social. Even if you are a GameFi, I can still talking to my different people in GameFi. And so social will be a basic feature, not maybe not even be a product. So this is the second. And third, I think is in the future, in Chinese we say 白猫黑猫抓住耗子才是好猫. You know, that means like no matter in what ways, like just figure out the question, solve the problem is the key. So how to grow and in a different ways, like a growth hacker to really acquire users, I think that's the problem. And decentralizing is not in one day. So maybe in the first, most of parts are still centralized, but it's not a big deal. You can just attract the users. The users, if only they love your product, they can bear many different things, and then you just like help them to improve the decentralizations day by day. I think that will be more practical. Yeah.
So thank you for your sharing. And right now we are still at the really early stage of the things called decentralized social network. So thank you for your sharing today. And we're gonna have a lot of things to explore together. Maybe after 6 months or 1 year, we're gonna look back and we can see how far we can go. But I think that's a good outlook for today. So thank you for sharing with me today.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you for your insightful sharing. And please step forward to take a group photo together. Thank you. Vâng, và ngay sau đây, xin mời quý vị cùng đến với phiên thảo luận tiếp theo với chủ đề How can retail users take advantages in crypto market? Trong chủ đề này, chúng ta sẽ đi sâu vào cách người dùng bán lẻ có thể sử dụng tính minh bạch của thông tin chuỗi khối và quyền truy cập, phân tích để đưa ra quyết định sáng suốt trong thị trường tiền điện tử. Đồng thời, khám phá các số liệu trên chuỗi, cung cấp thông tin chuyên sâu và phân tích dữ liệu này cùng các chuyên gia để chúng ta có thể thảo luận được chiến lược để tránh sai lệch khi hình thành đánh giá. Please welcome to the stage. Xin mời lên sân khấu our moderator, Mr. Jack V from Academy Executive from Coin98. Và các diễn giả của chúng ta, and our speakers, Mr. Joshua Fu, Regional Director for Asian and Central Asia at Chain Analyst. Mr. Lê Duy, representative from Glassnode. Mr. Tuna Nguyễn, COO from NAMI Foundation. Vâng, xin mời các diễn giả và moderator của chúng ta.
So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's discussions panel. My name is Jack from Coin98, and I have a privilege to serving as a moderator for today's discussions panel. As you can see, today we have assembled many experts, each will bringing a unique perspective and also the deep insightful about the crypto and blockchain landscape. And please allow me to introduce Mr. Joshua Fu, the Regional Director of Geanalysis, Mr. Lê Duy, the representative of Glassnode, and finally, Mr. Tuna Nguyễn, CEO of NAMI Foundations. And today we will explore about how retail traders and users can take advantage of the crypto market. Throughout our discussing topic today, we hope that everyone could actively engage, and if you have any question, you can raise your hand. I think we can start right now, right? Okay, so let's follow up with the first question. The first question is, monitoring on-chain data metric is crucial for the retail traders and users. But what is the key metrics that you recommend them to monitoring, and how can it give the valuable insight for the retail traders and users? Yeah. The mic is right here. Yeah.
Test. All right. Thank you, Jack. Good question, right? So maybe I will start by saying that even before we go on to on-chain, Geanalysis as a company, we are a data company that has monitored blockchain transactions for many years. And we do see over the past, I would say, 3 years, a little bit of difference in the trading patterns, right? And one of the key components is the entry of institutional investors into the crypto market. And so a very quick explanation would be, in the past, when the traditional markets will go up, the crypto market will go down, right? And then vice versa. When the traditional markets go down, the crypto market goes up. But we saw in 2021, when institutional investors started coming in very heavily into the crypto space, we saw that the correlation started to change. So when traditional markets go down, actually crypto markets went down as well, right? And so there where we see the bear market and the bull markets start to happen during those times. So I think it's very important to understand that now the dynamics is a little bit different. When we look at trading in terms of the correlation. So traditional markets, understanding of traditional markets is also important when we talk about crypto trading, because there is a relationship there right now. And so understanding these things is actually very key, besides looking at on-chain data. So one of the key interesting matrices would be really looking at where the crypto is flowing, right? And we have seen that actually a lot of crypto have started to move out of the US into other regions. And this is an interesting metrics, because when you start to see where the wealth is consolidating and where people are looking at, this will give you an indication, because what would happen is projects will start to focus on certain areas, right? Is it Asia? Is it Africa? Is it Europe or Middle East? And having to understand what these projects are doing, right? What Polygon is doing or what Solana is doing on these different regions can also help you to understand your investment strategy, right? Where these projects are going. I think last point is probably for the people who want to invest in crypto to also study what you're investing in, right? Because things have changed. And so instead of being very speculative in nature, to leverage on-chain data, even off-chain data, understand what you're investing in it, what the projects are doing, where are they investing their efforts into, so that you have a better understanding of the crypto market as a whole, right? Yeah.
Thank you. Do Mr. Lei Yu, do you want to add on any information?
Okay, I want to add on more information. Okay, in the crypto markets, we have the knowledge about the blockchain. We have the based on the blockchain in the on-chain data analysis. I want to compare with the stock market. You have the trading compare. You just have the price and the volume. You don't have any information about this. Just have to see the price and volume. You don't want to know how is the bear market, how is the bull market. That's the reason in the blockchain we have the technology transparent in the transaction, and we got the on-chain analysis. That we think we have to focus on the well behaviors, because so they have a lot of money. They can control the rise and up and down. We can tracking the flow, the cash flow in your hand, in their hand. Yeah, instead of add more information.
May I ask that based on your personal investment, do you usually using on-chains to making decisions?
I think in the on-chain making decision, we have to need to compare with the macro analysis. This, this situation is very hard, because we have the war in the Russia, in the Europe, Iran. Yes, it's not good, and the Fed is inflation and its rate is go higher and higher. The Fed is just about 1 month, and in the next month they can be going up again. Yeah, and it's so hard. And a lot of company, a lot of organization is had to close up right now. And this situation is so hard. You can need to compare in the macro analysis, and we have the technical analysis, TA. You need to make a lot of to support. I think it on-chain can support you have the clearly the view inside the bar. You can know exactly what they do. Who is buying Bitcoin right now? Who is selling? Who is accumulation in the bar chart?
Thank you for your answer. I think based on my experience when I'm using on-chain data, sometimes I also misunderstanding because we can see that the whale is selling Bitcoin, and I also have I would say, Bitcoin will going down in the next week or something, and sometimes it leads to the misunderstanding if Bitcoin is going up because we have our own bias. So may I ask that bias could impact on our decisions making process? So how can do you have any strategies to avoid promoting unbiased analysis?
Can I be
Yes.
the first? Okay, thank you. Actually, I want to add a little bit more contribution into Zvi and my good friend Josh here talking about the data blockchain. As my own experience as operating a centralized exchange and follow the trader and follow the method that they trade on the market. Follow the way one of the bias. Okay, you're absolutely right because not at stock and other traditional market like bond, the trader on the crypto market, they have invented a lot of genius method to follow the track of the whale with the big number of assets on the wallet. They call it a footprint and footprint and heat map, which is pretty cool. You cannot do it on stock and you cannot do it on bond and other traditional. So when talking about bias, one, I think that people are trying to looking for the footprint of the whale, right? When everybody talking about a token, people tend to invest into that token. So that's one of the bias. The second bias is when everybody talking about the market will be this way, the market will be that way, people tend to believe it before they do anything research and before they do any study on the market. They have talked about some method of trading like technical, basic, and etc. But believe me, most of the retail trader on the market, they did not do it. They just follow the others. And I think that is a bias. It's one of the biggest bias in the market right now, right? So, in my opinion, if people want to start their investment into crypto, the first one, do your own research. This is the most important thing. Treat it as your other investment, like real estate, like stock, like bond, like other kind of financial investment. You have to know about it. You have to know it well, and you have to be really serious about it. Crypto is not a kind of quick money that you can earn easily, and you can be rich in one day. Crypto is a long-term investment, believe me. Crypto is a long-term investment. Mark my word, in 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, even 10 years from now, and you can see crypto is not just a kind of investment. Crypto is an industry. Look at other kind of industry, like internet, like 10 or 20 years ago. Crypto gonna be big, and you're gonna be really serious when you think of, okay, I will start my crypto investment today with my first investment. I believe that day for myself. It's like 5 or 6 years ago. I put almost 10 years ago. This is my very first investment in crypto. I remember that day. I mark it on my calendar. So let it be yours, okay? Let it be your big day to start invest in crypto.
Yes, thank you for your answer. I think we will go to the next question, but I think this question I want to ask everyone in here. Did you see that day by day crypto have more information? Can you raise your hand if you can see that crypto day by day is have more innovation? In the past, we don't have DeFi, we don't have on-chain data. What we know is, Bitcoin. But later on, there's Litecoin, there's Peercoin, and then right now, I think if I count the numbers blockchains in the market, it would be more than 1,000 or more than 100 blockchains and more than 1,000 DeFi projects. I think so. So I think it would be really, really hard for someone, especially newbie, for assessing the crypto data and also knowing, oh, which new is correct, which new is incorrect. So I think, so can you guys share how for us to finding the right source, finding the right analysis when we research about project or research about blockchain?
When we're talking about analysis, we have the chain of analysis.
I think, like you're right? We see an uptake in terms of DeFi protocols. And the good thing is with on-chain data, you can look at the health of a DeFi protocol. You can look at analysis on who are the wallets that are interacting with it. Right? So what I mean by that is you don't just look at the DeFi protocol itself. You're also able to analyze the contracts that interact with it, the wallets that interact with it, right? And that it gives you a more holistic view of that DeFi protocol. Now, obviously, it's not so easy to do that. There's a lot of data, a lot of analysis that goes on with it. But we will see in the, I guess, near future, there will be information products that look at such analysis and give you basically the information from that, right? So it's analysis of not just the protocol, I want to mention that again, but even beyond the protocol, the wallets that interact. So what are these wallets doing, right? And it can help both the retail investors, it can also help the protocol to look at their customers, what their customers are doing in the blockchain. How are they interacting with other protocols? Where are the whales? What are the whales doing? All these information. So I guess in this industry, being data-driven, right, and having that foundation of data is going to help support, whether is it retail or institutional investors. And it's important to know that. Yeah.
Thank you for your answer. I think we will move to the next question. Is risk management is crucial for the retail traders and user. So how can the newbie or retail trader and user can have a best practice about the risk management?
Okay, I want to share about a little bit information about the risk management for the newbie retail trader in the retail markets. The first thing, you come in the retail market, you will be scammed, right? Have a lot of projects, it have the potential, but beside it, have a lot of scam projects. It's right now. You need to be careful. The first thing you do is how can protect your property in crypto access in your wallet. Yes. And the second thing, I think, in my opinion, you need to have the good allocate your property. Yeah, right now, it's a market is not good, and the situation in the economy is not good. Okay, just have the push maximum 20% in the retail markets. Don't push all in. Don't put all in your money in the market. It's so risky right now. Yes, and you have the skill to research projects and the health DeFi in the blockchain and what do you like right now. And you have the good cash flow. You do every single day something in the organized. Okay, you have the cash flow and you take a little bit the money in your cash flow to push in the retail markets, daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly. Is it the best, the good strategy right now? Yeah.
Maybe I'll just add one more thing, right? So Tuna was also talking about looking at how the whales trade and copying what they're doing, right? So just one point to note, their risk profile and your risk profile is very, very different. Yeah, so just take note of that, right?
Their money is much bigger than yours.
Yeah, just take note of that.
Okay, right. I just really quick. We have just a few minutes left. Okay. Yeah, you are right about talk about risk. Risk management is really important. That I told you before. I mean, crypto investment is the same as other kind of investment, like in real estate. You have to be really careful, and you have to do your own research on that, right? So, yeah, not all in, not put every egg into one just sort of investment. Huh? You have many eggs. You distribute it into many kind of investment, crypto, real estate, other kind of property, and do your own research again.
Okay, so thank you for your answer. I think there's one question that everyone here wants to hear is the crypto market is constantly evolving, and thus there's have many trends. Like near here we have liquid staking trends or something. So can I ask you guys which trends will be evolving in the future, and what is the trend, and how can we identify this trend in the near future?
AKA the question is, which project are you investing now?
Wow. I'm okay. To be honest, I'm not really looking at any specific trends at the moment. I'm more towards a long-term investment strategy, right? So I mean, I'll share my own personal strategy. Is the reason why I came into the crypto industry in 2020 was because I can see that this is the future, right? And over the past 3 years, a lot of things has happened. And if you don't have a long-term view of this industry, then basically you trade with a lot of risk involved. But I have a long-term, my long-term view is 5, 10, 15, 20 years, right? From what we have seen in the market with the things that has happened with, you know, some exchanges and whatever is happening in the regulatory space, it just goes to show that this industry is still very young, right? But if you can have a vision what is going to happen in 5, 10 years' time, blockchain will be the means, right? And you can put it as Web3 as well, will be the means that the whole world will use to transfer value, right? It can be transfer of digital assets, it can be transfer of information, transfer of identity, transfer of tokens, different types of assets. So if you think about that, then you are really investing, if I can compare, to the early days of internet, right? Or like what Tuna mentioned just now, one interesting thing is if everything, people look at AI now, right? Oh, it's the hot thing, let's invest in AI. But one of the key things that you can invest in is the NVIDIA chips, right? Yeah, so, you know.
When everybody building an AI, right? NVIDIA just selling card and earning money from that.
Yeah.
That is a smart way.
Correct. So think about that, right? It's like you're investing in the long term and it's just building the infrastructure. So what would it be in the future? Yeah.
Thank you for your answer. Yeah, I must admit that it's not easy for us to catch any trend, especially the trends is only last for around 2 to 3 months, I think so. And sometimes when we jump in, is that the times that trend is out. So I think is that nearly out of time. So I want every panelist here to have advice, one sentence for everyone here. So what is your advice for everyone to take the advantage of the crypto, I think in the next 5 or 10 years? Yeah.
Yeah, I think my advice, I will reiterate, right, is that have a long-term view when you look into investing in this industry. And if you spread out your portfolio, there can be quick wins, but there can be also something that you can invest in the future. Yep.
I totally agree with him. Okay, and you need to have the compare with the total market cap in the crypto with the stock market in the future. It's the 5 year next. Okay, and if you have the passion with this the crypto, you need to do your own research. What do you like in the market? Yes, you want to be like him, research in the company. You want to be the investor. You want to be the like him. Yeah, what do you want to be? That's the reason, the first reason. And now you have the good, have more skill, research, learning something in the community. I think in the Vietnam have the good community. You can learn anything in the world is the community in Vietnam. That's the start. Have the best knowledge first. After that, do what you like.
Thank you. Okay, we run out of time, so I'll be quick. Duy has right. Vietnamese people in crypto are great. For all the Vietnamese here, if my advice to you is keep your passion and believe in the blockchain. I'm not talking about believe in crypto, but believe in blockchain. Blockchain is a whole industry that will change the world. So believe in blockchain, looking for a good project with a nice crypto to invest in, but do your own research. Talking about on the other crypto adopter, our friend from the global coming a long way to here in Vietnam. Thank you for the support in Vietnamese market. And if I have an advice for you, well, as we said, find your position in the industry. Who do you want to be in the crypto industry? Everybody has their own talented, has their own passionate. So just find yourself a suitable place in the whole industry. Crypto is not only about trader and investor. Crypto is an industry. As industry, there are many, many roles will be suited for you. So choose carefully and good luck, guys.
Thank you, thank you. So thank you for every panelist that have shared a very insightful, but because the limit of time, we have to leave it for the next interesting panel. I heard that Web3 game. So thank you for everyone. Thank you for joining this discussions panel.
Thank you so much for your sharing. Please take a group photo together. Thank you. Vâng, thưa quý vị, nổi lên từ một cộng đồng những người đam mê trò chơi blockchain, các game guild hay còn gọi là các ban hội trò chơi đã trải qua những cải tiến, mở rộng và tích hợp các giải pháp đa dạng trong hệ sinh thái của họ sau một chu kỳ thị trường. Và với chủ đề Web3 Gaming Organizations in the New Circle, trong phiên thảo luận này, chúng ta sẽ được các tổ chức đáng chú ý trong không gian trò chơi blockchain thảo luận về các chiến lược phát triển của họ trong kỷ nguyên trò chơi mới. Please welcome to the stage. Xin được mời lên sân khấu Mr. Brandon, founder of Avocado Guild. Mr. Kit, co-founder of Guild 5. And our moderator, Ms. Quỳnh, founder of Sushi Blockchain Hub and East Vietnam. Please welcome.
Wow, hello, hi everyone. So welcome to the next panel about Web3 gaming organization in the new cycle. I know that Southeast Asia is a big market for Web3 game also, right? So it's our honor today to join the panel with two distinguished guests, Brandon, also Kit, and myself is Queen from Sushi Blockchain Hub and East Vietnam. So before to join to the new panel, may each of you introduce briefly about yourself and organization, please.
Hi everyone. First of all, it's a pleasure to be here at GMV. My name is Brendan Wong. I'm the co-founder of Avocado Guild. We were the largest Web3 gaming guild in 2021, one of the earlier pioneers of gaming guilds as well. Our original community was predominantly in the Philippines and Indonesia, and right now we endeavor to help onboard more users into Web3.
Yeah, thanks guys for having me as well. My name is Kit. I'm the co-founder of Guild 5. We used to be Guild, but right now we are building the next generation of gaming platform, trying to be one of the UA tools for games to get users onto the Web3.
Thank you. So because we have limited time, so I would like to break into 3 parts of the discussion. So the first part, maybe we share about what is the current status of Web3 gaming, especially for the region in Southeast Asia compared to other region. Because all of you also one of your focus market is Southeast Asia, right? And the second is I think that very important that we have been through the up and down, and also what is the key lesson learned from yourself, from your organization, also from other role model that you have seen. And also the last part that we really want to looking forward to hear your opinion about the future of Web3 gaming, and also including you, right? So let's start. So actually, for the last years, GameFi and also Web3 gaming also boom a lot, especially in 2021, right? Especially in Southeast Asia, many GameFi projects, and also we have many guilds in this region. And also 2022, according to the Radar report, also we see that the transaction in game, Web3 gaming also account for more than $7.5 billion US, which is a lot, right? And also we see that the GameFi trend also decreased a lot from the last year. So what do you think about the current status of Web3 gaming, and what is the new difference compared to the previous years and the next coming years? Anyone can, yeah.
You can go first.
Okay. I think right now, right, Web3 game as a whole, we are forced to improve the game qualities. I mean, no question that Web3s or the incentivization from the token actually is I think, for me, it's very eye-opening as a new way of marketing to onboard users to play games. But of course, that works very well in the bull market, right? But when we enter the bear market, when the incentivization runs out, people stop playing the game. The question is that why would people stop playing the game? So I think one of the reasons should be the quality of the game, right? Back then, relying on the incentivization, people play the game. Why the game quality? If you, to be fair, it's not on par with Web2 game that you play these days, right? But because of the incentivization, people play the game. But when it's run out, then it's the end. So not only that, but right now you also see lots of Web2 studio games jumping into the space, right? That's why I kind of think that as a whole, Web3 games, we are forced to improve the quality of the game, because the space right now is not Web3 game compete with Web3 games anymore, but you are compete with Web2 giant as well. So that's very hard. So we have to improve on that. And also, that also linked to the way they look at the market as well. Because if you're competing with Web2 guys who have a lot of experience and have a lot of data pool in the market and lots of marketing budget, you have to think about your strategy to attract users as well. How to attract users in the bear market, and how could you outperform the Web2 studio who have lots of data under their pocket.
Brandon, do you want to add on anything about this?
I think a lot of the Web3 games that came into existence in 2021 and last year were very experimental. And that's a very good approach, because it allows builders like us to actually learn not so much as mistakes, but the limitations of the technology, as well as how to navigate the economies with tokens and gameplay to make something that delivers real value and is entertaining for everybody. I think blockchain itself will allow for more complicated, sophisticated new generation games to be built. I don't think it's going to take over the whole gaming scene. Like, you're not going to stop seeing any games that aren't blockchain related. But as organizations like Avocado and GuildFi, I think we're positioned originally as organizations that onboard users into games. But what we need to do is actually evolve and become organizations that onboard users into Web3. Because that process is extremely difficult. And I think guilds are very well positioned to do something like that compared to many of the other companies in the space.
So I know that in order to engage the user to play games, and also that's a key part for the game guild, right? So what is your most challenging part, especially during the bear market? after like GameFi also like going down, people don't play games this like, for money anymore. So how you can engage the users?
So, first of all, a lot of people played Axie Infinity and every other Web3 game in the past because of the yield opportunities that existed. We need to understand that even in traditional marketing, there is a user acquisition cost. But in Web3, when you look at all of this, that user acquisition cost now goes back to the actual user. So perhaps it didn't work as well as everyone had hoped, but in theory, the formula is very similar. I think the space will evolve in a very interesting fashion. But the biggest issue is the technology is still quite complicated to understand. The games are doing what they can to innovate and build on, like come up with something that's never been done before using this technology. And as a gaming guild or many other dApps that are building on different chains, we harness on top of these games. So we can't do too much unless the games create games that have really good stickiness, unless the games design innovative tokenomics that we've never seen before that keep people engaged. So these days what we do is we try and share what we've learned in the last 2 years with a lot of the builders in the space, hoping that by coming together, we can actually create something more sustainable that can actually onboard more users. I hope that helps.
For me, I might not be able to answer this. I don't know if it's going to be the right answer because we ourselves don't build the games. And I know that building a game is very difficult. But for me, I think to retain the user, if you're not relying on incentive just like in the past, right? You just need to make the mechanic that make people hook to the games. But whatever that technique gonna be, I think you can borrow that from Web 2 as well because they have done a very good job, right? So if you can apply those mechanisms into Web 3, that might help to retain the user. And also, I think you need to be more specific into the market. You can launch global at the beginning, but later you should find which market is the most effective market for you and then focus on that market. Because I think in gaming industry, localization is very important. You can see totally different outcome when you do localization versus not doing it.
So for me, I'm really interested in, the specific example or the changes that your organization really changed during the last year. If you just say in one sentence to conclude what is the key change for GameGuild, what is that?
For me, I would say, if you talk about guild, right? I think we need to redefine the guild again because
based on your...
back then guild used to be a scholarship organization, right? But because the market changed and the model is not working, that's why we have to pivot. And for us, we change ourselves into a gaming platform, gaming communities. We engage with our users with the contents with from our partners. And I think this way, we do not have to care about, how many people are going to earn from playing the games, but we can engage with them with the content, the quality of the contents, and with that, it will open up a lot of way for us to, monetize something or to grow.
So it means that you focus on content, also like let the players also understand more about the new game projects, and then if they're interested, they still like keep playing. Is that what you're doing?
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
To keep finding good content and curate for them.
Okay. So it means that you also create content based on your internal team, or you also work with the ecosystem like KOL, influencer, and you bring in the new user?
That's right. Also with our gaming partners, and because we are a gamer ourselves, so we kind of understand what our user would like.
Okay. Yeah. How about Avocado Guild? What is your key change?
I think the key change is actually defining what a guild really is. So we started off as a community that onboarded users into Web3 games that were popular like Axie Infinity. But we need to understand that these users did not know what Axie Infinity was at the very beginning. So our job was actually to educate them on what Axie Infinity was, how the game works, how the chain works, what is MetaMask.
How do you educate them?
We educated them by involving local members of the community. We did a lot of hand-holding ourselves. A lot of the things happened on Discord. But with that evolution, when the gaming scene, when the GameFi genre itself isn't as explosive as it was in 2021, we sat down and we thought, well, it's actually now our responsibility to onboard and educate everyone in the advantages of Web3. So how do we find a way to do this in a more streamlined fashion? And that's why a lot of the guilds have now evolved to create platforms. We have platforms that involve a lot of content, not just by KOLs, written content, interviews, transparency in the space. We're trying to help users become more educated so that they feel safer when they come on. And then we have created things like questing, which incentivizes the users to participate in different chains, in different dApps, in different games, without really having anything to lose. You get some visibility, some experience with all of these new technologies, and it's your choice whether you wish to continue or not. But we want to be the educators. We want to build communities around helping people get into this space. So to try and make it a little more simple, I think guilds aren't building so much as like a game or a chain or a particular product, but actually we are building the door that helps people come through into the space.
So it means that you focus on building your own platform and using education to educate them to understand about that game project, and then they also can engage for that project.
So we are building our own platform. It's not necessarily just for game projects. It's for every project in the space, even ecosystems. And we are very open to working with, say, GuildFi or any other organization that wants to start doing credentials, chain data, anything that helps. Because I think right now is the time when everyone should really band together. And now we're really going to create something that's interesting when the next bull market comes.
So it means that like Avocado Guild also expand to other projects, not only in games, but also like other projects?
I would say that, okay, first of all, I'm very bullish on gaming. I do think games have really good value proposition in the form of entertainment. Web3 gaming, I think there's going to be a brand new sector that's going to evolve. It won't take away anything from the other sectors, but it will just be a brand new one. But for us to stay forward, we must open up our minds and be more broad in our approach. So yes.
Okay. So before we go into the the future of it, I would like to ask about what is the key lesson learned during the last year. You can tell from your own experience or from other role model from other projects, and you see that what would you change one thing from your project, or if you see that project should change one thing, what should it be and why? Or you don't want to change anything for your own game guild?
I learned a lot of lessons along the way, but it's very difficult to narrow down one thing that should be changed. I think change starts up here. Yeah. Like for example, a lot of the traditional game builders that have been building games, successful games for 10, 15 years, who am I to come along and teach you how to build a game? I'm not good enough to do that. But what I can do is share with you the lessons that I have learned. Yeah. So we are in a collaborative space in Web3. It's everyone's responsibility that wishes to come into the space to listen to those that have been in the space, and together we can come up with a solution. I would say the one key lesson is to understand that the space is very, very immature. What we understand in Web3 compared to what my mom understands in Web3 or everyone else understands in Web3 is actually like 7 levels higher. So if we want to educate people, don't talk to them like they know what we know. We have to find a way to make it easier for them to consume the information. And that's not just at the retail level, it's also at the institutional and the builder level as well. But it's very inspiring to see that large game developers are now focusing a lot of attention into the space. They're very interested, and I think it will just be a matter of time until we see more enhanced versions of Web3 games coming in.
Yeah.
And for me, I think this past 2 years taught me that if you want to survive in this space, you have to be quick to pivot, because you can see that this space things change so quickly, right? And if you still stick to your old model or your old principle, it might not survive with the changing environment. And also, I think another thing that we find is very important is that to be sure about and be clear about who is your target. You shouldn't mix your target together. For example, Web2 and Web3 players, right? I mean, people used to think that if you build like Web3 and with the incentive Web2 players will come to you, but now things change, right? So I think, I mean, we can approach both market, we can approach many markets at the same time, but don't use the same approach with every market. You have to be very specific.
Yeah, thank you. So, because like for Web3 gaming, right, there are two key parts, very, very important. Number one is like NFT for the assets in the game, and also for the tokenomics, right? So, I have seen so many like, economics model and also like even like NFT model is not really working. For the new cycle, do you think that any change in terms of that? And what kind of model that you think might be good in the new cycle?
I actually have, no right answer for this because everything is still in the experiment, right? But from what I see so far, I think the best practice, it might be to slowly open your economy. Because if you open your game economy from day one, open everything, people can freely trade everything, you might not be able to solve all the problems that coming at the same time. You can have pump and dump, right? You can have attacker, you can have bots ruining the ecosystem. That's why I kind of think that I prefer to have the full economy in the games as well, right? Because I like to trade stuff. Yeah. But to make the game sustainable, it might be better to start slowly, a bit by bit, not like everything open at the same time. Yeah. That's what I think.
How about Brandon?
I agree with Kit. I think it's important when you're doing something new to pilot and take it slow. To answer like the part about the NFTs and the tokens, I think NFTs are great, okay? But a lot of the so-called blue chip NFTs these days are really unattainable from a lot of the retail public. I think over time we should start looking at making things more attainable. Once you have ownership of something, you'll be much more interested to learn more about the functionality, use cases, utility, and things like that. So for games, I can't teach you how to build a game, but I think your NFTs should be made so that a lot of people have it, more affordable. I don't think that they should have any real economic impact in the game, but then your game will have to give them some other form of value, like entertainment would be great. In terms of tokens, I think tokens are amazing. I don't think the token should be tied with how the game actually works and mess with the game's economy. But for example, who were the first people to buy your tokens? It's actually the investors, right? All the VCs, all the guys that you raise money from. So if we understand the ethos of Web3, these guys essentially should have a say in how your company is run to an extent. So that is already a bit more like a DAO system, a bit more listening to the community. And over time, as you build this out, you give people a way to obtain your tokens so that their voices can be heard. But then you got to understand with the tokens, that's a completely different economy to the actual game. So for game developers, I want you guys to have a think. Learn from the lessons of everyone else that did it before you, and then approach it a bit differently. I think in Vietnam, there are a lot of really great builders, a lot of really great developers. That's partly why Avocado is here. Like, we're looking for really good guys to work with. But in order to build the right thing and not waste time, we must learn from the mistakes of the past, or we must learn from the evolution and pivot, just like the games.
Okay, I think that like we also like run out of time. So I think that the last question that let's talk about a bit about the new cycle trend or the future of it. Like, okay, so also a lot of people are talking about on-game, on-chain gaming, right? And then people even say that, oh, GameFi is like, now it's like no more and it's like this and that. So what do you think about on-chain gaming? Do you believe that it's going to be the future, or you see that like Web3 gaming going to go into a different way?
I think on-chain gaming is a great idea. I don't think it's necessarily to make the whole game on-chain, because the chains themselves, they're not evolved to a point to handle that much data yet. However, before you build an on-chain gaming game, have a think about, why am I doing this? There are some elements where if you use blockchain, it can improve your game and it can improve the transparency. But you got to understand, by doing this, you're introducing a lot of friction as well. So only do it for the parts that are really necessary. In the end of the day, you are a game builder before anything else. So the game's got to be fun and entertaining so that users would like to stay around.
Kit, do you want to add on anything?
Yeah, I agree with that. But for me, I think I kind of think as I kind of think on-chain game as a new genre of the game that you know in a sense, and also for on-chain game is like fully open economic games. So there might be some people who love this type of game, even though it might not be for the mass. But I think it's also one of the genre that kind of represent Web3 very well, and there are some certain group of players who love this type of game.
Yeah, thank you so much. So before we wrap up, this the last question. If you have one advice to the new builder in Web3 gaming, what it would be and why?
Kit, please.
Okay, I think you need to the most important thing for me. I think you need to study about the market very well, because you cannot just want to build a game and then after that when you finish and then what? I think the first step you need to really do a lot of research on the market or on the genre that you want to build, and then after that you follow on that. Like if I want to build this genre, which market I should focus on based on the data, based on the demographic of the user, based on the preference, the data that you have altogether. I think this is the most important thing. But most of the games I see in the previous cycle, they just build the game and then they kind of push all the responsibility of onboarding user to the guilds. But I think that approach is hard in this market condition.
I think one tip to everyone that's looking to come into the space, whether you're a builder or retail, is really to do it yourself. The infrastructure isn't ready to kind of just give you all the answers right now. You have to do it yourself, go through everything, and don't just rely on other people to give you the answer. Because that's how most of the builders that have survived to this current bear have actually survived.
Never give up, right?
Yeah, you never give up, but you have to, don't expect this guy can solve the problem for me, this guy can solve the problem for me, this guy can solve it. In the end, no one can solve any problems for you, and you're just sitting there pointing fingers. So don't be afraid to ask if you have a question, because generally the space is quite collaborative, but you need to understand that you don't know that much to start with.
All right, thank you so much for your insightful information and sharing. And thank you everyone for listening to our panel. I think that time is up, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Queen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Thank you so much for our moderator and our speakers. Now you can step forward to take a group photo together. Vâng, thưa quý vị, tiếp theo chương trình, xin mời quý vị đến với phiên thảo luận với chủ đề Scaling the Blockchain. Chủ đề này sẽ thảo luận về việc mở rộng chuỗi khối và hơn nữa là giải pháp cho bộ ba bất khả thi của chuỗi khối. Mỗi dự án và mỗi hệ sinh thái sẽ có cách tiếp cận và phát triển giải pháp riêng. Chúng ta sẽ cùng khám phá những điểm mạnh và hạn chế của các giải pháp mở rộng này, đồng thời khơi dậy những suy nghĩ về bối cảnh tương lai, nơi mọi thứ sẽ được diễn ra trên chuỗi khối. Please welcome to the stage. Xin mời lên sân khấu our moderator, Mr. Benji Huỳnh, Head of Business Development from Kairos Ventures. And our speakers và những diễn giả của chúng ta, Dr. Sam Sell, Representative Director of Clayton Foundation, Mr. Denzel Lee, Managing Partner at Web3 Partners Group, Mr. Bình Nguyễn, Co-founder of RMIT Vietnam FinTech Crypto Hub and Senior Program Manager of Blockchain Enabled Business, RMIT Vietnam. And Mr. Đinh Ngọc Thịnh, Co-founder of VBI, CTO of GFI. Xin trân trọng kính mời tất cả các vị diễn giả và moderator của chúng ta.
Hey guys, welcome. So I'm Benji, I'm from Kairos, and thank you for joining the panel today. So today we're here to discuss the expansion of blockchain, what challenges are there at the moment, and what we can do about it. So maybe we'll start off with just quick introductions.
Okay. Hi everyone. My name is Bing. I'm from RMIT, and I've been interested in blockchain for 5 years, doing a lot of research and education at our university on this. And yeah, very pleased to be here on this panel.
Thanks. My name is Denzel. Primarily, we're a VC Web3 Partners Group, but we've been looking into our own investment ecosystem recently as well, how blockchain can also help drive financial technology in this space.
Hello everyone. My name is Sam. I'm from Clayton Foundation. I'm the director and foundation. And Clayton is a public layer 1 blockchain started in 2019, and is we are trying to be here. I'm trying to onboard Vietnam developers to our mainnet, and so thank you.
Thank you. So yeah, we'll get started. So mainstream adoption or widespread adoption of blockchain is obviously something that would be great for all of us. That's what we're here working towards, everyone here pretty much. And when that day comes, mainstream adoption, it's going to be a great day for all of us, right? But there's a lot of challenges along the way. There's a lot of limitations that we face right now. So yeah, well, just from your perspective, like what challenges do you see right now that we should be considering more, we should be discussing more, and trying to tackle? Dr. Burden, do you want to start with that? Or?
Okay, sure. Thanks, Benji, for the question. I think I do believe strongly in this technology, that it has the power to transform economies, bringing economic empowerment, financial inclusion to many people around the world. But I must be honest here that I think if we're doing a great job, it would still take us at least another 10 years before this can go really mainstream to billions of people. And we need to resolve several issues there that's related to that. Of course, I think one is really on the technology, right? I still do think that nowadays, with the scaling of the blockchains like Ethereum with their layer 1, 2 approaches, we are not there yet in terms of, okay, how can we really onboard 1 billion people now? I don't think so. Right? Still quite expensive, still quite slow, and then also still user interface is not there. And yeah, I think in terms of technology, we need to resolve this issue. And I think that's what a lot of people in blockchain industry are now doing nowadays. The second thing that we need to resolve is that really there's a story and then the narrative that we share with the regulators and also the traditional companies. Right? We are not here to replace the existing system, but it's really about augmenting the existing system, just making it, upgrading it, make it much better. And I think there's a lot of work to be done there. And I think right now, when I talk to the regulators, I must honestly say that they not very keen on crypto. That's just to be blunt and frank, and then that's the honest truth. But they would be very open about the blockchain technology. Right? I think there's this world of crypto that we are in. We're very keen on crypto, but there's this reality that the mainstream and the established system not really into crypto, but they are open to updating the system through the blockchain technology. I think this is what we need, the story that we need to tell them, and then help them to understand that this really can help them. And then once we get one foot in the door, then it's just much easier to do really crypto if you want, right? And then the third thing is that I would say education. That's very important. It's a frontier technology. It's very transformative. And I think still nowadays, how many people or what percentage of the population has a good understanding of this technology? I would say probably under 1%, right? If you think about global population. So there's still a long way to go with these three things.
Yeah, I think going to the point about, traditional finance and regulators with blockchain, I definitely agree, right? It's not that we're here to change the system. We're here to upgrade the system, add things that, we could not do in a traditional space without blockchain, right? But at the same time with regulation as well, I think it's important to work with regulators, because a lot of the issue now with scalability and, people wanting to do more is that because there's no clear framework of what can be done and cannot be done, people have a lot of stigma of whether or not I should actually venture into doing it now or only when, a clear framework is out. So, I know what rules I'm following and, what I'm not.
Okay. To make a mass adoption of blockchain, of course we need better technology, yeah, and also we need, I think more important than technology is use cases, because as we know, the blockchain cannot replace everything. Yeah, it's a new technology. I mean, it should have its own use case, and to support this use case, we need technology and we need regulations. So, but what we are doing right now is, okay, so we do issue tokens, and we are thinking about how we can, utilize those tokens. But we should do the opposite. So we think about use case first, and then we develop technology, and then we make tokenomics and so on. And in that way, we can actually prove that blockchain can be useful for this use case, and we need, technology then. But, that kind of process and that kind of, the innovation is what we need.
Yeah, so technology is a huge part of it. Education about the technology, obviously, potentially over the next 10 years, and then real use cases. Just to touch upon a point that you were mentioning about traditional finance as well. I think one thing that's quite exciting at the moment is potentially there's going to be a Bitcoin ETF, potentially sometime in the near future. There's Wall Street quite interested at the moment. If that does come through, it'll be exciting for all of us. So just to touch upon, how TradFi can get involved here, what can we be doing more to, I guess, make blockchain more attractive to TradFi? What elements at the moment would TradFi be interested in?
Okay, thank you for the question, Benji. Maybe I just start first, and then you can just try to go around. Yeah, I do think that, if we think about the motivation of TradFi, what do you want? Of course, the first thing is that what I want is control, governance, and oversight. That's what I want. That's what we have right now with our financial system, and then I think we're still moving forward that traditional financial companies are somewhat obliged to do these things. The second thing is that, of course, profit, right? Profit maximization, that's for every private company. And these two things are I would say, the levers through which we can talk to the TradFi companies. And if you said, BlackRock with the Bitcoin spot ETF application or the trust application that is like an ETF, why do they go through this route? Yeah, because if this gets approved, they get quite of governance and oversight through these product. It's not Bitcoin itself, right? But it's really a financial product built on Bitcoin. Okay, can they regulate it? Yes, they can regulate these financial products. They cannot regulate Bitcoin itself, but they can regulate the financial products. Okay, then they become comfortable with it. And then the second thing is that, can this technology on the other side, I think 2 days ago, the BlackRock CEO, Larry Fink, he said that his company was very interested in blockchain technology overall. Not only Bitcoin, but they really think that they can bring things like tokenized financial services, financial products, like bonds, government bonds, corporate bonds, even maybe tokenized currencies on the blockchain. And that's what TradFi companies, I think, all around the world nowadays are very keen about. Not only Bitcoin, but also about these tokenized products. And I think this is the levers that we can use to really talk to them.
Yeah, so, personally, I'm not a very technical person, right? I'm more VC and a business person. A lot of the market and myself also believes that the next wave of money coming into crypto and blockchain investment-wise would definitely come from institutional money from TradFi as well. That's where hopefully our next bull market will be. In that aspect, right, we've looked at, like crypto as an investment, we looked at NFTs and all that as well, but how do we actually use that in a retail space, to bring investment products or even traditional financial products, right? How do we add another layer to that, right? How do we bring a more advanced financial product? How are we able to, build off what we currently have in a traditional financial system, but also create new products that could not be done in a traditional space, right? NFTs trading, if you look at it as an investment product, it can be traded very easily. It can be traded, P2P, it can be traded in an open marketplace, without, needing real name registration, right? And with, anonymity and all that, coming on the up and coming, is that something that, banks and TradFi will look at. I mean, traditionally we've had things like bearer bonds and bearer share certificates, which, yeah, I know a lot of countries have made that, a non-starter for a lot of financial institutions. But these are things that we've had in the past, and we're basically just creating a digital version of it now. So why can't we relook at technologies like this as well, to bring us to the next level?
Okay, so for me, TradFi is important because that you can bridge the actual crypto world and the real world, because the TradFi has been the making products or investment, the investment opportunities for the regular or the legacy or the Web2 users or Web3 investors, but they didn't, not all of them are interested in investing Web3 world cryptos. But by bridging this TradFi in terms of money or in terms of technology to this blockchain world or Web3 world, actually we can generate more opportunities for them as well as for us. So in that sense, we can, they can produce more tokenized assets. Also, we can develop more technology. How we can tokenize real world assets to this on-chain or Web3 world. So in that sense, yeah, I think the TradFi could be very crucial or very important for, again, yeah, connecting these two worlds and then growing the entire market as well. And of course, the technology itself. Yeah.
Hello, then you just come in. Maybe we'll get an introduction from you as well. That's
yeah, sorry, I just fly from Seoul to
yeah,
here,
no,
so
that's okay. That's completely fine. Yeah, maybe we'll just get a quick introduction. We're just actually talking about TradFi markets. How we can make blockchain more attractive to TradFi. What we should be focusing on at the moment. Yeah, do you have any thoughts on that as well?
Hello, sorry for my late. I just fly directly from Seoul to here. And regarding to the scaling, I think the most important problem now is how to get the balance. Most of blockchain already can scale and quite fast, but how to we get a balance with the decentralization and also the security. The problem is how to make it the best trade-off for every application. Yeah. That's my opinion and for discussion. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Maybe we just just to the next question. Are there any ecosystem or projects at the moment that you think that's quite exciting within the space that would move the needle forward for us to get blockchain to be considered on a wider scale? Maybe Denzel, we'll start with you.
Okay, I'm not here to shill my own thing, but I mean, if you're gonna ask that directly, it's probably because we had a conversation about this the other day in depth. Is that we're actually looking very heavily into asset-based NFTs to open up a tradable and liquid secondary and private market platform as well. Currently in the market, you have a lot of locked SAFT, saved agreements, and token warrants as well. What I learned from a lot of exchanges recently is that a lot of VC funds and investors are, looking to do OTC deals over non-listed tokens because they need that liquidity, but you're not able to do so. But my question now is, why can't we do it? Blockchain technology, we haven't discovered everything that we can do with it. We're still exploring. I'd argue that we just breached the surface of it, basically. And again, tying back to traditional finance, right? Again, these products have existed in a traditional space. We're just bringing it back again in a more digital, a more digital way as well, right? So something that we're looking at, is that if we're able to, tie, equity towards an actual NFT, and have that tradable on chain as well, like bearer bonds, bearer share certificates, right? Where ultimately it's just whoever who holds that bears that underlying asset. Right, which is technically what an NFT is, but we've only been looking at NFTs as PFPs and JPEGs and membership community passes, or the most recent asset-based NFTs that we looked at as NFT tickets, right? Which is the same concept, right? You hold the NFT, you own the ticket, right? For you to enter the concert or whatever event, right? So why can't we use that for equity equity-based, companies, right? Look, a company is already fractionalized ownership, right? Shareholders, you own a fraction of a company, right? We're just looking at a way to make that more tradable, to create that liquid market, to really bump the liquidity in the market, and also, for project-wise, they're building on blockchain, right? And startups, your constant concern is that for token projects, you're being forced to ICO because your investors need to exit, right? Or if you have a redemption clause, your investors will come and say, hey, I can't wait your 3 years vesting, I need my money back now, right? I need to pay my carry to my LPs, right? So is there a way that now, with all the technology that we have in the market, is there a way that we can help projects also look at a long-term sustainability without hurting, their potential, what potential they can bring to the market, but at the same time, for investors, for TradFi investors, for even personal investors, how can we increase that liquidity pool such that the whole market becomes tradable as well?
Yeah, awesome. Maybe Sam, we'll go next.
Yeah. So, recently we are very focusing on, and we are very working on how we can tokenize real-world assets. So, for example, we have been collaborating with one gold exchange in South Korea. So they are actually trying to tokenize the real gold to on-chain asset, on-chain tokens. So we have some gold tokens already there, already in the market. But what we are thinking of from tokenizing this kind of real-world asset or real-world gold is how we can have some intrinsic value on the chain, and by augmenting the value of the digital assets. So by bringing this real-world assets to on-chain, we can have the more stable environment for DeFi or even for TradeFi and so on. So and then we can think of how we can make it scalable. Yeah. So because the gold is a very traditional asset, but if we have huge volume of gold on chain, then we need better scalability. Also, we need how to support the retail users or retail investors or institutional users and so on. So we are also thinking of making it scalable in terms of transactions, volumes, and in terms of the gas fee, because usually this kind of real-world assets, the price difference is not that not that big compared to the digital or cryptos or NFTs. So we need a better gas fee structure for this kind of trading or this kind of the new asset, and also again, we need high scalability or high performance to support this kind of new assets on chain. Yeah, that's the thing that we are looking to these days. Yeah.
Dr. Ben, is there anything that excites you, or at the moment, any ecosystem or anything?
Yeah, I think the thing that will surprise everyone probably over the next 2 years, I do think it will be the Bitcoin ecosystem. I think the Bitcoiners, after I would say 3 or 4 years of really rejecting any development on Bitcoin at all, just saying, hey, it's just money, and then sitting around there, and then we just buy it, and then we wait until the price go up. This has been the narrative over the past, I would say, 3-4 years, very strongly. And just recently, I would say over the past 1 year, with the after the Taproot and Snore update, then with Ordinals, I think now at Lightning Network, right? So these things, I think they have created a lot of more excitement about development happening on Bitcoin itself. And if you be really, if you want to be compliant, just think about it. Nowadays, Solana, Cardano, and a lot of these cryptos could be considered as securities in the US market at least. If they are considered to be securities, then it just will be very difficult to build on them and to use their products. And okay, what is the thing that is really clearly not being categorized as a security in the US capital market? It's Bitcoin. And if you're a developer nowadays and then you want to build on Bitcoin, then you don't have at least to worry about the regulatory issues that could come.
Awesome. Then do you have anything that excites you at the moment, any ecosystem or project that you think could push blockchain
Oh,
further?
yeah. Yes. So along with every people talk about the tokenization, the asset tokenization. So I think the blockchain system improvement also need for the later the higher requirement for the data transaction for different kind of application between the human to human on machine to machine. For example, the AI with AI for the transaction of the data, not just the tokenization. So we have a need to expand the system for the future application. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. I think we've just run out of time there.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for joining the panel today. Yeah, thank you everyone.
Thank you so much for your sharing. Now please step forward to take a group photo together. Vâng, thưa quý vị, sau đây xin mời quý vị cùng đến với chủ đề thú vị tiếp theo của Settlement, được chia sẻ bởi ông Nandan Joshi, Senior Business Manager and Solution Architect at Settlement. Please welcome to the stage Mr. Nandan Joshi, Senior Business Manager and Solution Architect at Settlement. Xin một tràng vỗ tay thật lớn cho diễn giả của chúng ta được không ạ? Xin cảm ơn tất cả quý vị.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Nandan Joshi. I'm a senior business manager with Settlement. I'm based out of Tokyo. It's second time I'm in Ho Chi Minh City. The last time I was here only for 12 hours, so this time I get a more vibe of the city, and I'm really liking how the entire community, I mean the crypto community and blockchain community is working together, and it's a very impressive market indeed. Okay, so today I'm going to talk about how to accelerate your blockchain transformation. So basically, last week I was in IUVS Kyoto event. I've seen there were a lot of talk about bear market. Okay, so I mean there were a lot of worries about what happened in the crypto industry for last few months. I mean, it impacted the industry as a whole. But hey, the situation is also not really good with the traditional industry. In the traditional industry, or traditional finance industry, we have seen also many bankruptcies of the banks, right? So it's not only in US, but also in Switzerland. So basically, it's affecting not just the one particular industry, but other industry as a whole. But one thing gets overlooked in these last few months is that it's not just affecting crypto industry, but also the blockchain industry as a whole. So there are many high-profile failures in blockchain industry. Okay, we're talking about enterprises. They went too fast. They had big ideas, but they didn't have adequate resources to pull it off. So they wanted to do, because the blockchain was a hype. They had big ideas about it. They wanted to do it, on a bigger scale, but they failed. So there was an interest, in this industry, but they were too early or too disorganized. But on the other side of the spectrum, there are another challenges for blockchain implementation. Some corporations, big enterprises, they started with a smaller project, very small project to take it off and see. But what happened? It just stayed as just a simple, shiny project, nothing else. Just like a POC, they did some PR, nothing happened after that. And moreover, the Gartner also said that some of the projects where it came from idea to the implementation, it took 9 to 15 months. So basically, in other words, it took more than 1 year to fail, right? So there were many challenges for corporations to do their blockchain transformation. Some tried too fast, some tried too slow. So let's look at the statistics from Gartner, okay? So why do 86% of the blockchain projects fail? First part is a skill scarcity. I mean, I've been doing training for some of the corporations on blockchain technologies, and not only from business perspective, but also from technical perspective. They have a problem having the right blockchain talents in their organization. So there are like 3 ways they can solve it. One is to train their own employees, which can take 1 to 2 years. We've seen that from the experience. Another way is to hire blockchain developers. They are very rare in the market. I know not in this arena here, in this event, but in general, corporations have difficulty hiring blockchain engineers. And the third is to have some consultants. That comes with its own cost, And there are very few consultants who can give a right information on how to do their blockchain transformation, how to do the blockchain development. Another issue is integration. I mean, when we talk about dApps, okay, in crypto industry, you just talk about doing like direct your UI, directly communicating with the blockchain through RPC calls, okay? But when it comes to corporations, they have to integrate with their legacy systems. It's not that easy. They have to deal with the Oracle, SAPs. They have many old systems that they need to integrate with the blockchain solutions. Their solution doesn't involve only the smart contract. It involves more than that. So this integration fails also in the industry. Scaling. They start with one project, they do something, but in the end, they cannot onboard other clients, other stakeholders. That brings, lot of complexity, legal perspective, compliance perspective, regulatory perspective, and also internal organizational perspective. So all these things, projects actually fails. They are stuck at experimental level, and they comes with a higher cost. So the situation is not that bad. I mean, a couple of years ago, maybe I would talk about this thing, how things are bad in corporations. Now they are getting mature. They're getting a lot of information. They're learning about blockchain. We are doing training ourselves. I mean, I'm personally involved. So they are asking now a really serious question. I mean, how certain use cases can be done using blockchain. But now they are dealing with blockchain development dilemma. Should we do it ourselves, or we use some kind of platform? It comes with its each pros and cons. I mean, when you deal with creating your own solution for corporations, I mean, it comes with a high DevOps cost, security cost. It comes with complexity, how they could do upgrades. And some of you, if you work with big banks or big corporations, their IT systems are very rigid in their processes. And there's, of course, they have limited support because they cannot disclose all their infrastructure at all. Now, when it comes to blockchain platform, it comes with a lot of positive things. It comes with a low code. It can be easily automated. You can easily go to market because everything is already offered you from the infrastructure to a certain level. I'll show you shortly, so that you can immediately get started. But it comes. Some of the blockchain platforms in the market, they come with some kind of some kind of rigidity, some kind of opinionated approach, how they develop it. So there is a need for flexibility in blockchain platform. So let me go back and tell you what is blockchain development dilemma. So you know that back in the days, to create a Web 1.0 website, you needed expertise like HTML, CSS, which you take for granted now, but it was something new in 90s. And then the WordPress came. WordPress made creating website very easy. Just same thing with the Stripe, okay? For the Stripe, for the payments, what they did actually was to take away all the complexity. They created an abstraction layer where you had to deal with some value-added business logic you put into it, but you don't have to worry about all those details. Like in payments, you have this messaging services, there are messaging protocols you have to comply with, and other things. So what we did, what happened for website creation or e-commerce platform using WordPress or payments or so for the Stripe in case of payments, we needed something for blockchain, to make things easy, low code, no code, easy way. Not just click and done. You need to do some kind of, development. So it's basically, I would call it more like a low code part, yeah? And that's where we as a settlement comes in, So basically, we offer a high-performance low-code platform to make it easy, okay? So just in a short description, settlement is like it's like a low-code blockchain development platform. We are certified SOC 2 and Type 2 certified platform, also featured in Gartner reports previously. So let me tell you, because it's a technical conference also, so let me tell you how it looks like on a technical stack, okay? So basically, we are talking about platform, okay? Platform, what do you mean by platform? Platform doesn't mean just the infrastructure. It covers the entire stack from infrastructure to interface, all related to blockchain. And when you look at this diagram, you will see it's not just about some kind of infrastructure, hardware infrastructure. You need some other toolings too to provide storage. The storage in a decentralized world is not necessarily on blockchain, okay? Of course, you need certain way of interacting with it. It's not like typical REST APIs and you're done. So this is something the platform actually constitutes. But you have application layer. This is something it's left for the developers to develop themselves. So we created with this blockchain platform of abstraction to all those things from infrastructure to interface, so the actual use case can be developed on their own. So let me do a kind of a deep dive how it works, okay? So how does a typical blockchain development journey looks like? There are 3 basic steps. You set up your infrastructure, you select your protocol, you deploy it in some kind of infrastructure. Cloud infrastructure is quite popular where some of these nodes are deployed. Then you need a smart contract development. It's not just like writing a Solidity code in case of EVM-based chain, but it's just having the entire development environment, key management, decentralized storage like IPFS, or centralized storage like S3. And of course, in case of corporations, very, very essential part is the integration with the applications. So in this case, you need certain tools which makes it easy to integrate your blockchain applications that you have deployed on blockchain to the legacy systems, okay? So let's do like granular approach, okay? How do you start with it? So first is to set up your infrastructure. So you need to choose some protocol and also the infrastructure layer where you will deploy it. But what we have seen recently in our experience, corporations, they don't want to do everything, they don't trust everyone to do this kind of deployment. What they do is they do like a mixed approach, like a hybrid approach. They do their deployment and development on a cloud-based, like a managed cloud solution, but they want to host everything in their own premises. So in this case, we made our platform so flexible that you can not only host it on our platform where you go to our website and register with your credentials, but the entire platform as a software can be deployed in the premises, okay? So this is something, the flexibility that a corporation needs. And not only that, sometimes they need a flexibility across multi-chain, across multi-cloud, across multiple infrastructure layers. So that can all be done using this kind of platform. The next step is building your application. In case of EVM, of course, smart contract using Solidity or Viper. In that case, what is needed, any developer who wants to start, they don't start just from scratch from the first line. Sometimes they look at some code on GitHub, as it takes some experiences from some other developers, how they developed it. And in this case, we need to do a fast-track development. And some of you know the pain about to set up your hard hat configuration in case of EVM-based chain development. So you need a pre-configured development environment which comes out of the box, but it comes also with the template. Not only template for some famous ERC standards, but also templates for certain use cases. Certain like supply chain. This is like a major use case that we have deployed for smart clients. And some of the deployment scripts are there, like for testing script, migration script, and deployment script, which comes with it. So what it does, a new developer may need like 3 to 4 weeks to get started. Here, that person can get started in a couple of minutes or a couple of hours if needed. Yeah. So that's a part with the blockchain development. like the app development. But I said integration. Don't forget, integration is very critical for enterprises with their, with their legacy systems, with the Oracle and SAPs, their ERPs that they have running inside the system. Because all those data coming from blockchain, going in blockchain and coming out of blockchain needs to be integrated with their compliant processes. In this case, we offer two different solutions. So one is the Integration Studio, which is a simple visual code editor, like it's a drag and drop integration module. So basically, you can just drag and drop certain modules for integration. You can do integration with Oracle and SAP, like I said, but also with your Telegram bots or here with your Facebook Messenger also. There are over 4,300 modules to choose from. And of course, it does event-driven application development. So you can develop, you can create your own logic using event-driven mechanism. And it's completely based on Java, Node.js and JavaScript, so it makes it way easier for anyone to dive into. And of course, you can create your own flows. So you can create flows for for your applications, for your web service integrations, for your the APIs that you create, and also for your IoT integration. Another tool, which is quite popular, maybe some of you engineers know, is Hazura. Hazura is a backend as a service. You can create the entire backend. You don't need to develop your own backend, Express.js or just Spring microservices. Yeah? So you can do everything directly within this environment where it is driven by the GraphQL interface. So it allows you to connect to other GraphQL interfaces. It allows you to connect to the databases, other APIs of other microservices as well. And it is connected to the graph middleware, which does the querying and indexing of the on-chain data. See, I'm talking about Hazura. Hazura is like, it's your off-chain layer. Basically, everything is not on-chain. There is an off-chain layer always, and you need some kind of integration with it. And this is where it is actually done. Yeah. And you can, of course, the other problem is scaling your consortium, which is made easier with our platform, where you can just quickly onboard other companies and other stakeholders. And of course, the monitoring tools. There are like a couple of block explorers to choose from, and other node monitoring tool, which are available also on Managed Cloud and also with the also on in your on-premise or bring your own cloud kind of solution. See, this entire product is a culmination of working with major players in the industry for the last 5 years. We work with major banks, including 2 central banks of major economies from Africa and Asia. And we also work with some FMCG companies like Coca-Cola and AB InBev. And also we work with some manufacturing company and chemical giants like Dow Chemicals or Procter & Gamble. So there are many experiences that we have seen, and we made their journey to blockchain transformation much, much easier. So if you would like to know about our experience, we have a booth at G4. Please be there. I've been a scientist before. I was an astrophysicist, and I moved to the tech industry. I've been a developer for some time. So all your questions related to business, and also when it comes to deep down to philosophy, feel free to talk to me afterwards also. So thank you very much for having me here, and it was a pleasure to be at this event. Yeah.
Vâng, please stay on the stage for a while. Mời anh Lại Hồng Phong đến từ Kairos Venture có thể lên sân khấu tặng hoa cho diễn giả của chúng ta được không ạ? Thank you, Mr. Nandan, for your speech. Thưa quý vị, trước khi chúng ta quay trở lại với buổi panel discussion tiếp theo thì Thủy Tiên xin mời quý anh chị chúng ta có thể giải lao trong ít phút Please take a break before we come back to our panel discussion. See you soon. Thank you. Quý vị thân mến, ZK Rollups là một giải pháp đầy hứa hẹn cho vấn đề về khả năng mở rộng. Chúng là một loại giải pháp mở rộng của Layer 2, sử dụng bằng chứng không kiến thức Zero Knowledge Proof để thực hiện các giao dịch hàng loạt và xác minh giao dịch ngoài chuỗi. Điều này cho phép ZK Rollups xử lý số lượng giao dịch mỗi giây cao hơn nhiều so với các chuỗi khối truyền thống. ZK Rollups vẫn đang trong giai đoạn đầu phát triển, nhưng họ rất có tiềm năng cách mạng hóa công nghệ chuỗi khối. Giải pháp này có thể làm cho các chuỗi khối phù hợp với nhiều ứng dụng có khối lượng lớn và thúc đẩy áp dụng hàng loạt cho công nghệ chuỗi khối. Vậy giải pháp này là khai phá những giá trị to lớn cho tương lai của công nghệ blockchain như thế nào? Hãy cùng lắng nghe những trao đổi trong phiên thảo luận về ZK Rollups, The Future of Blockchain. Xin mời lên sân khấu. Please welcome to the stage our moderator, Mr. Phil, co-founder, CEO at Airfoil. And our speakers và những diễn giả của chúng ta, Mr. Philip, Developer Relations from Mina Protocol. Mr. Lewis, Head of Engineering from Trust Wallet. And Mr. Tu Phan, Founder and CEO at Design. Trân trọng kính mời các diễn giả và chủ tọa của chúng ta.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for coming today. Thank you for the warm introduction. My name is Phil Hediatnia, and I co-founded a company called Airfoil that basically it's a design firm and product incubator that supported everybody from startups and L1s and L2s like Solana and Near with product design, branding, go-to-market, and product incubation. We have a hub here in Ho Chi Minh City, so it's great to see everybody. But we're here to talk about ZK. And I got started in 2018 in crypto when the question was largely when token, but now the question is really when mass adoption. But there's a lot of barriers today, right? That all of people's transaction history is public and accessible online. It's easy for users to accidentally dox themselves. I remember when Rainbow Wallet released the ability to generate an ENS name within the wallet itself. But that, of course, poses the question, if you've got your first name, your last name, your transaction history all associated with a single self-custody wallet, then everything you do online, your entire digital history, is fully open and accessible to the web. that's probably not something practical for real mass adoption. Not to mention, there's been a number of scalability problems with Ethereum. I'm sure everyone in this room has experienced incredibly high gas fees or long transaction finality. And so ZK has been pitched as a technology that can help us solve these problems, help us truly accomplish mass adoption. And so today, I want to discuss if ZK is a solution to these problems, and given how recent the technology has come kind of onto the Web3 scene, what work is left to do to realize the potential of this technology. I'm really thrilled today to have three terrific speakers to discuss this with. First of all, right to my right is Tu Fan, who's the founder and CEO at Desig. We also have Luis Oseguera, who's the head of engineering at Trust Wallet. And finally, we have the other Phil Halsall, does developer relations at Mina Protocol. So thanks so much for it. Can everyone just give a round of applause to our panelists, please? Thank you so much. So first of all, just to get started, I would love to see if you could tell the audience a little bit more, both about yourselves and what you do, but also about what fundamentally excites you about ZK Tech. And we'll start with Tu.
Yeah, hi everyone. Good afternoon. So my name is Tu Fan. I'm from Disease Protocol. So we are building blockchain agnostic multi-sig solution. So in regard of the questions, why I enjoy the ZK technology. So it is simple. I have graduated with my degree is about cryptography. So I work with ZK and MBC since when I was student in my university. And for now, when I start my project named Thesis, so we face with the problem of signing something like, I'm pretty sure that all people here know about Genesis, or at least heard about that. It's a multi-sig solution, quite well known in the market, and they mostly relies on smart contract. But we see that smart contract is a bottleneck, so we try to remove smart contract out of the signing process. So at that point, we recruit ZK technology and MBC technology to solve the problem. So that's my journey to get into the domain of ZK.
I'm Luis Oseguera. I work at Trust Wallet, supporting the engineering team. Trust Wallet is a multi-chain wallet. We support EVM, non-EVM, extensive coverage, tokens, NFTs, staking, trying to bring you as much as crypto as possible. Why I'm excited about ZKs, for a couple main reasons. For the Trust Wallet perspective, two of our most common complaints that we get are, why does this cost so much, and what happened to my transaction? And so ZK gives us the promise of like these questions start to go away and these concerns. And then we get a lot more predictability, and then this creates a much better user experience. And then from my personal side, and then hopefully the venture we're trying to go from wallets is being able to provide more use cases and more products with decentralized identity, things around private payments, and other really cool applications that we just can't do right now. And this will kind of open up the door to have like a more fulfilled experience.
Hi, I'm Xin Chao. I'm Phil from Mina Protocol. I've been a software engineer for about 30 years and been in blockchain for probably about 6 now. What excites me about ZK is I think it does offer solutions for scalability, privacy, but it's not the whole solution, it's only part of the solution. One of the reasons why I work at Mina Protocol is because I think they're one of the leaders in the ZK technology space. And I think they're trying to create an ecosystem for developers to build and succeed building apps that they can use that's based around ZK technology.
That's awesome. Thanks so much. And that's actually, I think, a good segue to the first question that I want to lead with today, which is really around kind of an overview of ZK versus optimistic rollups. So why is it that we need ZK rollups to solve blockchain scalability issues overall? How would you best describe that? Maybe we can start with you, Phil.
So I think it's the classic blockchain trilemma. You can be secure, you can be fast, or of course the third one. I always forget the third one. But you can't do all three. Decentralized, secure, or fast. And I think for mass adoption, everybody talks about mass adoption, but we've been talking about mass adoption for a long time, and I don't think it's here yet because of transactions, right? You know, if you can do on Ethereum, I don't know, is it 15 a second? How usable is that? ZK offers an ability to batch up transactions, and that's how they scale. And to just address the question about optimistic versus ZK. So I think the key difference is with optimistic rollups, what you're saying is, I believe that these transactions are correct. Let's batch them up and let's put them on the blockchain, and we're only going to achieve finality once we've not proved that it's false, that there's something wrong in it. That to me, you know, in a software design architecture perspective, just seems kind of wrong. ZK takes a different approach. It uses maths to say, let's execute, let's prove using mathematics that that execution is correct. Let's batch those up, and then let's put them on the blockchain and say it's final. And that just seems a better approach to me.
I think the only thing I'll add to that is it also it gives you an ability to move data off source. The computation is off-chain, which keeps Ethereum much smaller and it keeps it from growing at the pace that it's growing. And then the other thing is you can have privacy guarantees that you can't do when you broadcast directly on-chain because it's done off-chain and it's done in with specific maths, to like Phil's point. It's like you're able to maintain privacy for the user and not reveal information that the user is looking for. Scott.
So yes, Phil's, and I mean, I'm totally agree with Phil. So scalability, it requires abstract term, so too easy for audience to understand. So scalability, that means we require more transaction per second and cheaper transaction fees. Besides that, we also care scalability is something create more friendly UX to user. So for now, the pain point of user, I think that's a huge barrier for user that they have to learn a terminology of private key. They have to learn that the private key is really important to them and keep them secrets. But somehow, some people still publish their private key on the social. So ZK is something that is not directly contribute to the solution to solve that problem, but it's still a really important factor to build a very good protocol to build a friendly UX to user.
Awesome. So to that point, I'd love to expand on kind of the UX kind of concept here. And I'd love if we could kind of paint a picture for the audience today of what a world where this tech is being used at scale looks like. Where are the specific places that utilizing ZK rollups substantially improve the user experience for people that are interacting with crypto and blockchains? And feel free, anybody can jump in.
I can, if you want.
Go for it.
So I think to Lewis's point, the taking the transaction off-chain, I think is interesting. Obviously I work in MENA protocol, and we have a TypeScript library. So, and we also have a node that you can run in a mobile phone. So mass adoption, this provides an infrastructure. Mass adoption is going to become from people like here in the audience who build apps that people want to use. But I think what we're providing is an infrastructure that allows them to be responsive, for their UIs to be responsive, for transactions to close, you know, in good time. You're not waiting 30 minutes to see has something updated on the blockchain. You can, you see that finality quicker. And then another point was privacy. I think is very important. I don't think it's necessarily the most important thing, and I think privacy is an interesting one. You need to build for privacy. So we talk about ZK EVMs, which are one scaling solution, but I think they're inherently not private because blockchains are inherently not private. But I think ZK can provide privacy if you build for that.
Yeah, so I think of it as it works in a much more subtle way. I don't imagine a world where users are, I'm looking for the next ZK rollup, I'm looking for the next ZK app. I imagine a world where, you think about what the mindset right now is you assume trust in a lot of places you assume trust with confidentiality and the privacy of your banking and your finances. You assume trust in your home of how all your IoT devices work. You assume trust when you're playing online games that the rules are fair and they're not being tampered with. And I think what will happen is this subtle shift where now you'll be able to know with some certainty. You will expect some certainty that something is working as you expect it to. And there's this like little bit of a learning curve of like, you may not have to understand it, but there'll be a guarantee. So right now in your IoT devices, you assume that they're not tampered with, they're not hacked, and nobody's watching you, but now you will be able to know if those things haven't been changed. Right now, if you broadcast on-chain, you will learn soon enough that everybody can monitor your transactions, but what you're really going to want to know is like, is this safe? I don't want anybody to know that I'm sending money from person A, from myself to somebody else. And you'll know that with some guarantees. And I think that's going to be this subtle shift where people start using applications, they feel much more confident. And the language won't be ZKs, and the language won't be, you know, roll-ups or what finality. It'll be this. Oh, I see this. I can take this all the way to the origin, to attestation, and I can prove. I know that this hasn't been tampered with. I know that my privacy guarantees have been fulfilled. And I think that is the conversation what people have, and this is where the UX comes in. That's how I think of it.
So about me, so I'm quite things something different from Phil and Louis. So I don't think people have to see obviously that how ZK to support them. So the good protocol is something seamless. So they use ZK, they show the real problem, and the user just get, oh, this protocol secretly show my problem. So, for example, if you mentioned about ZK rollup, I'm not sure that how people can understand about the protocol, but they definitely know that ZK sync or ZK rollup will help them pay less but faster. So I think that's the point we want to focus on about the ZK in practice and about ZK rollup in general.
Awesome. I want to ask a follow-up on that because I think that's a really interesting point around as we're building with this tech, how we message it to people, how we explain it to people. Because I would entirely agree, right, that people don't necessarily know what those terms mean. It's almost a similar problem to the term NFT, right, where NFT became associated with JPEGs that get flipped on marketplaces rather than being, you know, understood for what they can actually do. So if we recognize that we want to make sure that we're informing users how this technology will help them, aside from them being able to make transactions faster, how can we communicate the security and privacy benefits to users without wrapping it up in the language of we're using zero knowledge proofs, we're using ZK rollups? How do we communicate this to basically normal people?
I think two nailed it. It's going to cost you less and you're going to be able to do more transactions. I think this complexity of is it plonk, is it kimchi, is it pickles, is it what's the commitment, who's the witness? I'd like to think that you know, kind of as the ZK world develops, that becomes abstracted away and we talk more about how do we develop secure apps that are low cost and high transaction rates.
Yeah, totally agree. So it's really hard to educate casual people about ZK, about mathematics, about something really complex terminology. But people will easily recognize the advantage of technology when they use the protocol. They easily realize that, oh, this application have a great UX compared to all the old version of solution out there. So the most effective ways, I think, that to educate people how to understand and take advantage from ZK technology is offer them some advantage, some good solution to them.
Yeah, so I would say that people don't talk about ZKs, and the way they experience this is you go into a wallet and you say, do you want to send a private payment? Yes or no. You want to send this privately, or do you want to send this openly? If you conduct a poll or a vote online, you go into some social media channel and you open up a thread and you say, hey, let's vote. And do you want a secure vote, a private vote, or do you want an open vote? public vote. And this is like a very simple concept, but you can imagine as you explore out and you fan out further and further, it's these little like binary questions that start to pop up, and people won't know that it's ZKs under the hood, but now you can't offer somebody a private transaction right now, at least on the majority on Ethereum, right? You can't offer someone a private voting system or a private auction, and now you will be able to offer these, right? So just imagine, you're an auction house and you want only a select group of people to participate, you can do that, but you won't be able to do that in the future. You can't even offer a product in that sense, right? So this is kind of how I think the product will be this binary new features on off, or it'll be completely exclusive in terms of privacy.
And the other thing is, if you think about blockchain and its evolution, it's, we've built on this in this trusted or trustless environment, and we trust the maths. This is, in my mind, an evolution of the maths, right? We trust the maths. There's some very complex mathematics that proves this, but you don't need to know this. It is just providing functionality that is, presented nicely to the users. And I think that's the key thing. It's an infrastructure, not the solution.
That makes a lot of sense. So if users see this functionality embedded in the applications they use, if they see it provide value for them, if they like the experiences that they have, that ultimately they'll come to demand it, right? And then adoption grows. That makes a ton of sense. So given this picture of kind of where we can go and what Web3 looks like with ZK tech, I want to talk in the remaining time we have about the steps between where we are today and getting there. So let's talk through some of the technical hurdles. I'm sure that for most people in the audience today that are building in Web3, they want to be able to integrate this tech into what they're building. What are some of the stumbling blocks that they might face today? And I'd love if we could just almost do a status update on how are we doing with solving those stumbling blocks, making it easier to utilize, easier to integrate. Yes.
Anyone want to go first? Yes. Let me share the way I think about how blockchain will become mature in the future. So the first time blockchains appears or be invented to show the problem of decentralization, only about decentralization. For example, Bitcoin. They don't care about security, they don't care about privacy, because at that time, the primary goal of them is show the problem of decentralization. And then next, Ethereum start to think about it and show the problem of scalability. And then I think the next phase of blockchain is they more focus on privacy. And in 2023 right now, we are in the phase of show problem in scalability. And we see that there are several good solutions out there, right? In that way, you can characterize your protocol, your problem into one of three labels I just lay out. And in each label, you will question that how ZK can show your problem and then apply it. For example, in this protocol, we try to show the problem of decentralization and scalability at one time. So at this time, we see that, okay, a smart contract can become the bottleneck of the multi-sig solution. And also that the multi-sig owner can take the control of the whole DAO or the whole market somehow. So we try to remove all the smart contract, and we at that point we think what technology we use to show if there are no longer smart contracts there, and then we come up with ZK very naturally. Don't try to think the way like I have a ZK, I have to find a problem that's ZK to show, and then I eliminate it. Just question that what's your problem, and then the ZK or any technology will come naturally.
Yeah, so I think some of the challenges, like at the L1 level, is as we get more and more L2s and ZKs, we still have to solve the computation costs. These can be very expensive, takes a lot of specialized hardware. I think as those improve and we get further and further optimizations, that'll translate into a better experience for the users in terms of cost and speed. And then you also have this off-chain infrastructure that we're just getting familiar with. And crypto has not done a great job in terms of building infrastructure. We've seen a lot of hacks, we've seen a lot of things exploited, and I think this is going to be a time-tested function, this will be a time where we start testing this infrastructure and making sure these off-chain computations don't get compromised and they stand up to the volume of users that we're hoping. I think as you move up the stack, dApp developers still have to figure out how to translate their apps and move their apps and think if it's a viable option for them. And right now it seems like there's no value moving over to some ZK rollups, and they'll need to figure out not only how to move and translate their code, but then being able to convince users to make that migration, right? And then you also have like the wallets. So at the Trust Wallet level, right now, there's not a lot of, some L2s, some of the cryptographic primitives, even though they're open source, they're unfamiliar with the majority of wallets. So you can't even integrate to like the major wallets at the moment just because the cryptographic primitives are not there. And some of the SDKs are still missing. So just getting access, getting your dApp in a wallet, it's still very limited, right? So we still need the wallets to kind of create a layer, the cryptography, the integration between wallets and dApp still needs to improve. So there's a major gap there. I think those are the main obstacles right now.
I think you can build with ZK now. I mean, I think I'm aware of about 20 different projects that are out there. I think it's very leading edge, kind of borderline bleeding edge. I think it will evolve. Proving systems will get better, they'll get faster. The compression, this is one thing that people don't talk about, but ZK provides a compression of data on the blockchain, so there's optimizations there. But I also think there's a mindset shift between I write some code to execute something to I write some code to prove that something is true so that I can update state somewhere else. And that's something that I struggle to get my head around still. But I think that is quite key, is like the evolution of coding from modular coding to object-oriented coding to functional programming. There's some kind of conceptual shifts there. And my feeling is there's a conceptual shift in ZK, writing ZK code to just writing smart contracts. The other thing I'd add is that maybe it's not suitable for everybody. Is it the right solution for you? Does the app that you're building require scalability, low-cost transactions, these things? Right? Maybe not everybody does. So I think there should always be this, what is the right technology for the problem I'm trying to solve?
But, so given, I think, given the additional complexity in integrating ZK rollups today, and also given, just frankly, gas fees as a cost, right? All of these sort of current stumbling blocks, I guess what I'm wondering is, do you anticipate that we're going to get into a place in 5 years' time where it's trivially easy for users to choose between private and public transactions? It doesn't, from the user's perspective, cost them anymore or result in them doing anything differently? Or do you think that it's sort of almost a fact that something that's publicly on-chain versus something that's private is going to incur additional difficulty either on the dev side or on the end user experience side?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, I think in 5 years, yeah. But it's interesting we talk about gas costs because we think about Ethereum. There are multiple blockchains out there. I can think of at least 2 or 3 who are present, at this conference today. Gas costs vary from chain to chain. So, kind of, again, it's picking the right tool for what do you need very decentralized, very secure, or do you need very low, kind of gas fees? I think ZK in 5 years' time will take away those problems so you can have all of it. But I'm an optimist.
Yeah, so I think the answer is yes. I just think I think the technology's there. I think the roads, like the path is clear for that. I think for the most part, I think that there will be continued research. There's like a ton of research, a ton of investment. I expect that to continue to improve. And I think the one obstacle that we'll need to think about is, especially when it comes to privacy applications, a lot of these are regulated by governments, right? Yeah, like GDPR, and like in the US and every country has like their privacy laws. And so for these apps to really take off, that will kind of need to coordinate itself as well. So there'll be some, sending private payments will be in something, but then what about healthcare and some other functions are still regulated by governments? And that will be like the last blocker to really adopting these things.
I also say yes. So we add an additional layer, so the thing will be more complicated, of course. So, but however, as a blockchain, in the first place, people will question that what is blockchain. So, but after 5 years, they will start to familiar with the term of blockchain because the technology will develop and develop every day, and they will show some kind of user experience things. I guess ZK will be developed in the same way as a thing like that. So at that time, maybe ZK can be really complex to people and in terms of privacy or something. But at the end, I think that there are a lot of scientists out there try to solve the problem and bring these concept more friendly to user in the future, near future.
Awesome. Well, I think we're running out of time, but thank you so much everyone for being here. Thank you everyone for coming to this panel. It's so exciting what we get to do with this tech today and how we get to bring kind of blockchain tech to mass adoption with ZK. And let's just give a round of applause for our wonderful panelists today. Come on.
Thank you so much for your sharing. And now let's step forward to take a group photo together. Let's take a group photo together. Yeah. Vâng, thưa quý vị, tiếp theo chương trình, xin mời quý vị cùng đến với chủ đề thú vị tiếp theo mang tên From Web 2 to Web 3, How to Ship Users. Phiên thảo luận này sẽ chia sẻ về tiềm năng của Web 3 để biến đổi và phân phối lại giá trị từ ngành công nghiệp giải trí hiện có, cũng như chia sẻ kinh nghiệm từ việc xây dựng cộng đồng Web 2 và áp dụng kiến thức đó trong không gian chuỗi khối. Và ngay bây giờ đây, Thủy Tiên xin được mời lên sân khấu. Please welcome to the stage our speakers, Mr. Young-Chen Yu, CEO, co-founder of Web3 Off, Mr. Kristen, founder of Superfine, Mr. Julie, head of business development from Ancient 8, Mr. Peter, co-founder of Moongate. Please welcome to the stage. And our moderator, Mr. Dave Nguyen, project lead from Space 3. Bộ phận kỹ thuật cho mình xin thêm một chiếc ghế nữa ạ. Can we have one more chair, please? Thank you so much. Vâng, và panel discussion của chúng ta với chủ đề From Web 2 to Web 3, How to Ship Users. Xin được phép bắt đầu.
Hey, GM. Even though it's afternoon already, but still, yeah. So it's my pleasure here today to be speaking with the industry leaders over here, both from the application and the infrastructure builder. So maybe we can start by introducing yourself a bit and which project you're working on right now.
Sure, nice to meet you all. So I'm Peter, co-founder of Moongate. So what we do is we do NFT ticketing and memberships for different brands, conferences, music festivals around the world. So I think some of you might have used our product already when you kind of buy the ticket for the GM Việt Nam conference. And yeah, very excited to share the panel with you all.
Hey guys, how you all doing? It's a couple of last few talks, so hang in there. I'm Zen. I'm one of the co-founders of Web3 Off. what we do is we replace seed phrases on wallets and applications, and we replace that with a non-custodial social login powered by MPC. We're a wallet as a service, and we've been around for a while now. So at this point, you can see and experience us on some of the most popular wallets in the space, including Skyweaver or Sequence, Trust Wallet in the closed beta. You can see it on Kukai, which is a popular one on Tezos, Kepler, a popular one on Cosmos. We also power a lot of Web 2 to Web 3 similarly. We power all of Fox.com's key management systems. We did NBC's Universal Studios and a couple of their launches. We launched a Square Enix, a AAA gaming studio in Japan. We have about 10 million users across a month across all of our different applications, and we power about 800 of them or so. So if you're looking to, build either a really easy onboarding application similar to Moongate or a wallet, come hit us up.
Hey guys, my name is Ju. I lead business development efforts here at Ancient 8. And thanks again for joining us here on the panel. So just a quick background on Ancient 8. So we are looking to become a marketing and distribution channel for games, and we're building Web3 gaming infrastructure. So from a high-level perspective, we are looking to gamify the user experience for them to essentially find the best Web3 games. And ultimately, that's going to be aiding the game publishing process for Web3 games. And so, yeah, we're doing that by using our Space 3 platform, which is our Web3 gaming loyalty and kind of a user discovery platform as well. So, yeah, happy to be joining this panel and looking forward to discussing.
Hey everyone, my name is Christian Calderon. I'm the co-founder at Superfine. We're a cross-platform attribution company for game publishers. Previously, I was a game publisher, so I was a CRO at Ketchup. We worked on one of the most popular games in the world called 2048. 2016, that was acquired by Ubisoft. I also launched the game Two Dots, which was #1 game in 100 countries. That company was acquired by Take-Two. And I was also a GM executive at Kixeye, where I worked on mid-core games. And that company was acquired by Stillfront Group. Super happy to be here in Vietnam, and let's go GM Vietnam.
Thank you, mates. So, so the topic of today is going to be how do we ship users from Web 2 to Web 3? Even though that sounds really simple, right? But the more simple it is, the more complex it is in parallel as well. So, yeah, so maybe we jump directly into the discussion today, because I'm pretty excited how insightful it is already. So the first question is going to be, what are the strategies and best practices for user acquisitions and engagement, considering the unique aspects of blockchain for decentralization and transparency? So maybe we can start with...
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that question is right down our alley in particular. So there are several different barriers to somebody onboarding into a crypto application. And it starts from first understanding what application does and its use case, then it's key management and wallet management where Web3 helps, and then there's fiat to crypto on Rails and off Rails, which you kind of have to set up so it makes it easy for them to onboard into whatever system and start interacting with it. In terms of key management, right now there are quite a few different choices out there. You've got like multi-sigs, account abstraction, you've got MPC, and you've got seed phrases. Seed phrases are currently the most simple and the most popular. But it's really not the best practice to use seed phrases anymore at the end of the day. Seed phrases have known to be, they're very reminiscent of usernames and passwords in the late 1990s or early 2000s. You know, when everybody was losing their eBay account and Amazon wasn't super secure, people thought financial applications would never be built on the internet, but now they are with 2FA and multi-factor authentication. So that's really what Web3 is to seed phrases as well. We are our MPC-powered infrastructure that's plugged into different setups, and really it's just a multi-factor wallet where you use your different social logins and your devices to access your account. Now, typically, if you use seed phrases, and if you opt to go down like the standard route of a standard wallet being connected to your dApp, your conversion rate typically is at 22%, meaning that 3/4 of your users are just lost right off the bat. If you use a solution that's a little bit more familiar to the end user, which is a familiar user experience via social logins or passwordless or whatever, that increases up to about 60%, which is closer to the standard for onboarding rates in the conventional space. So yeah, that's definitely one of the things that you should do.
Yeah, definitely. So talking about Moongates, you're well known for being a NFT membership and ticket platform for Web3. So user acquisition is really crucial, right? So could you share more about how do you acquire user and retain users in your platform?
Yeah, so I think a lot of insights on the wallet piece. Obviously, I think for us, we are working a lot more on the user applications. Especially, I think for us, we face a lot on Web2 market. A lot of people who know nothing about crypto, a lot of actually brands, enterprises, or even music festivals. I think most of the people, they might not, they're interested in the space, but then really try to drive the adoption. Really have to kind of simplify things a lot. And obviously, I think wallet infrastructure is kind of the key piece here. And I think apart from that, I think payment obviously is one of the key things. I think maybe previously for a lot of the NFT, maybe ticketing or membership infrastructure in the US or whatnot, they actually maybe just support like really native minting or just support crypto payment, which I think obviously it could be good in an ideal cases, but really when we push to, I guess, a mass adoption, I guess at this moment, I think supporting maybe Stripe payment or even just a lot of the basic payment would be kind of the key gaps. And I think for us, we actually focus a lot more also on the user, I guess, journey piece, especially I think on the ticketing and membership use cases, which I think for maybe other like games or like metaverse, like every kind of verticals, I think based on different business use cases, it would be like really important to understand what's kind of the exact, I guess, pain point or what's the usual user journey was like. Even though if you add on the blockchain layer, add on the NFT element, you wouldn't really want to, I guess, disrupt the user journey a lot. So I think for us, for instance, after you bought a ticket, you typically also get an email with a QR code. So for us, when we scan the QR code, we actually check the NFT ownerships, real time on the blockchain. And then, after that, maybe there are different kind of benefits, token getter benefits, gated by the NFT so that you can get maybe discount or like, some perks or redeemables around the ecosystem. Other platforms, maybe they just try to also, you have to jump through different platforms to do it, which I think for, I guess, mass adoption is very hard, to actually let people understand, oh, I actually have to go to this platform and, because I got this NFT, so I got this, token getter benefits. I mean, these are like, we want to abstract these concepts so that, basically anyone, if they don't know anything about crypto at all, but, simply when they go through the entire journey, they would be able to kind of enjoy the benefits of NFTs, and then also as I guess all the functions or perks provided by blockchain. So I think understanding I guess the user journey is really important, especially I guess for user applications for us that kind of push mass adoption in terms of blockchain technology. So yeah.
I think that's also very true for games, right? And so I think what we see is the common misconception Web3 games is people play the games because they're games, right? People play the games because they're fun. When we launched 2 Dots, hit #1 in 100 countries, not a single person came up to me and said, hey man, I really love that you guys are working with AWS and you guys are using Elasticsearch. Nobody even knows about it. I mean, shout out, we love AWS, we love you guys. But people play the game because it's fun, right? People play to have fun. And so I think this user journey is incredibly important because no one's playing the game for the tokenomics. Again, people playing the game to have fun. They just need to get in and have a good time. And so we strongly believe that this is incredibly important to bring games back to what games are, right? Not Web3 games, Web2 games, puzzle games, RPG games are games, right? No matter whether they're Web2 or Web3. So we think this is incredibly important, and especially for user acquisition.
Yeah, totally agree with you there. So the first wave of Web3 games made a big plus in the market. And I would consider play to earn via the tokenization of NFTs as well was one of the best practice for user acquisition. We can see that one through how many people come to Web3 via Axie Infinity, for example, right? So, so in the future of Web3 gaming, where do you see user acquisitions and retention practices going to be looking like for Ju?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I mean, obviously when like the P2E boom occurred and the gaming narrative was pretty much exploding, I think it was all like pretty much financially incentivized. People were wanting to get into like Axie Infinity. People were eager to jump into guilds because guilds had the scholarship model and they were able to supply the NFTs at a discount or even for free. And so in that sense, you know, games viewed guilds as a model for a new method for publishing. And so when the P2E and the gaming narrative started to die down, you know, to be quite frank, we had a lot of outflows in guilds. And, you know, a lot of guilds, to be honest, right now, it's like we're trying to find different ways to kind of better the gaming ecosystem and things like that. So I think just the fundamental aspect of community onboarding as well as a community onboarding and community building as well as education. So, you know, at Ancient 8, we are looking to really build a genuine gaming community where people can have fun with each other, find a sense of belonging, because us as humans, we all want to feel loved. We all want to feel like we belong somewhere. And gaming, you know, fortunately does that. You know, we're able to talk to strangers on the game. We're able to invite our friends to play the games with each other, and just things like that. I think that's kind of in a way that's kind of lost in the community building aspect, especially for games, because, you know, people are really focused on trying to marry the Web 2 and Web 3 concept into games. But, you know, if you think about the most successful, at least in my opinion, the most successful game right now that implemented Web 3 is EV.io. They started off as a Web 2 game. Right when you go into the launcher or your website, you're put into the game, and there's absolutely no friction, and essentially, like, people are going there to have fun, and then they discover the Web 3 element when they want to start earning. And so, you know, with a frictionless experience like that is what I think is going to really bring the next, you know, 100 million of gamers onto the blockchain, because people ultimately get curious. People want to see, oh, what else I can do. People are just trained to, like, be curious about things in the world and things and just other aspects. So with that, you know, there's a lot of hand-holding that needs to be done. You know, when I first joined Web3, it was not too long ago. Joining getting a MetaMask account and, you know, deploying capital, like, it's scary. And I had to, like, call my friend. Like, literally, he was holding, not literally holding my hand, but, you know, he was with me throughout every step. You know, how to approve a transaction, how to go through a DEX and things like that. So, you know, things like that I think is really crucial, especially in the gaming community. And so, you know, constant developer updates from the team, and, you know, getting constant feedback from the community itself and implementing those so that, you know, the people within the community have a real sense of value within the projects that they get invested in, I think will ultimately drive, you know, the next kind of wave of, the next, like, customer acquisition and kind of user retention in the near term.
I'd love to jump in really quick because I love everything you said. I'm going to have to disagree with one thing, though, and that is I think the top game is by far still Axie Infinity. If you think about over half of all Web3 gamers play Axie Infinity, and they're from Sky Mavis, homegrown here in Ho Chi Minh City, so shout out to Axie Infinity. But we think that actually growth in the future will look very similar to what it has been in the last 10 years. And what you're seeing, and maybe even in the last 100 years, right? We can even go back even further. 100 years ago, marketers used to use coupon codes, and at that time, they were able to measure the cost per sale to a fraction of a penny, right? To a fraction of a penny. And today, it's not much different when you think about paid growth and user acquisition, right? We're thinking it's very simple. You spend $1 and you make $2 or $3 back, right? And there's a model here that works, and this is called user acquisition or paid growth. Today in Web3, we're seeing something very similar, and this is like the phenomenon of questing. You're seeing all these questing platforms pop up. And this was no different from the early days of mobile. We had a lot of incentivized traffic platforms. And I think the problem with this is that you bring in pretty much low quality users. I'm talking day one retention, anywhere from 0 to 10% on mobile when you're bringing in users from an incentivized traffic platform. And where this gets dangerous in Web3 is because you're incentivizing someone to cash out, right? And so what happens when you're incentivizing someone, giving someone for free, and they're cashing out, everyone's selling. The price isn't going to go up, right? It's going to go the other way, right? And so I think we're seeing this now with the early questing platforms, and I think it will evolve and change, and it will rhyme and look very similar to what we saw with early mobile. And what it will take over, I think, will be this paid user acquisition growth formula where it's very predictable. You spend $1, you make 2 or 3 back, and it's all measurable, and it's arguably one of the best kind of investments that you can make for your game. You're targeting high quality users, bringing those into your game, targeting players, not incentivizing spenders to come in. So this is our perspective on how growth will look like for games over the next 10 years.
Yeah, totally agree with you over there. So just would like to add a little more details on that. So questing platform, plays a crucial role in the development of the next Web3 gaming trend. And I think the way that matters is like what are the rewards and the value that you are offering to the user. So if you're giving away like direct money, that's definitely gonna dominate, right? But if you are giving away something like self-esteem or socialization value to the users, so there's gonna be a different story about it, right?
Well, I think it depends on whether or not something that you can, yes or no, right? It depends on if something that you're giving away can be cashed out. Yeah. And that's the behavior that you're training. In games, we're basically training behavior, right? You're incentivizing this behavior. Yeah. Whereas we had billions of people play 2 dots and 2048, not because we've never ran incentivized traffic, right? People played the game again because they wanted to have fun. And so I think the best games, the most fun games, these are the ones that will attract people, and you don't need incentivized traffic to bring them in. But I do think that there is, what you saw with incentivized traffic in mobile and how it evolved over time was people realized, okay, this is bringing in low quality traffic. And so how the incentivized traffic platforms evolved was more towards a deep CPA model, right? So it's like get to level 50 or something and do all this stuff, and then you get paid out. And you're just hoping by that time from level 0 to 50, or I'm just using this as an example, that you'll retain that user and they'll stick. So I do think there are use cases where this incentivized model works, but it's going to look, like you said, very different from what we're seeing today.
Yeah. Yeah. So moving forward, since like if we are implementing certain initiatives that to onboard user onto Web3, so there exists a really significant problem that we need to solve. Like in traditional user, they usually look at Web3 as a really like not a really positive perspective, right? Especially in terms of data privacy. So the second question is going to be like, given that blockchain technology promise pseudonymities and in some cases anonymities as well, how can we reconcile the collection of personally identifiable information? Because like users gonna see like every information of them gonna be stored on chain that can be viewable by every single person.
So I mean, we just had that ZK talk, right? So in particular, that's definitely one of the solutions to fixing on-chain data. Of course, really expensive, really complex at this point in time. Not exactly a standard that people can just, like a game would just pick up and go, ooh, I can do this just yet. There's also just the simpler version of it, which is just a mixture of on-chain split of data versus off-chain split of data. You've got on-chain public identities, public addresses, assets, things you want to share with others, things like, oh, I have this NFT and I think I'm really cool because I have this NFT, or like whatever, right? And then you've got the more private data with regards to more personal data being off-chain and that I think that's already quite a practical segregation that I imagine a lot of games which you guys are seeing, which is being implemented, which kind of works at this point. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I think that's go ahead. Yeah, I've been talking.
No, just a quick point to add, because I think the issue with, I guess, data concern previously in Web2 space is because, all these centralized platforms, they just use or sell your data to someone else, but then after all, the end customers doesn't really enjoy anything, right? So I think it's really about the value distribution. Like for instance, and I think even for data collections, it's actually beneficial sometimes. For instance, if they know what kind of content I'm reading or watching, then they can just kind of give me kind of appropriate content to me so that I don't have to search again or whatnot, right? So I think it's really around how do you really handle the data. And I think, as you mentioned, I think it's very interesting. I think even for brands, I think that we work with a lot. I think right now, as there are very serious concern around the data privacy, there's like cookies that you can't do a lot of like cookies collecting information and stuff like that. I think brands, enterprises, they're trying to see what kind of other type of information we can collect from users. And I think the on-chain profile, what kind of NFTs, what kind of on-chain activities that they've done. And I think based on that activities, it really depends on how they handle the data, right? I think if they're actually providing value back to the users, for instance, hey, if they really like, maybe they own some sort of like automobile kind of NFTs that just provide more kind of relevant benefits to them, to end users' perspective and also to kind of brands' perspective. This is actually value adding to the entire ecosystem. So I think the on-chain kind of data mapping to, off-chain profile, with kind of like a good handling on the data, I think it could be value add to the entire ecosystem as well. But yeah, sorry for cutting you off.
Yeah, no, I think this is really interesting, right? It's a very delicate situation, and it's very directly related to growth, right? Because if you think about it, privacy is like the antichrist for targeting and user acquisition, right? And now we have information that we never had before, right? Like someone's wallet, you can see their transaction history, how much money they have. You run a distributed knowledge graph, you could even see maybe other wallets that are tied to it. We've never been able to do this before in user acquisition. Being able to know the LTV of the user before they even enter the game. And I think this is where it gets tricky is when you start cross-matching this information with cookies, fingerprints, and things like this is like, kind of dangerous, right? And so it really needs to be very thoughtfully and carefully handled. We strongly believe that how the market will evolve is that first-party publishers will start owning this data instead of it going to other large, let's call them, repositories where it's being stored. And we think that this is the way and this is the future, that first parties should own this data.
Yeah, so talking about data privacy, so recently, like Apple's launched the data management some policies in which they ask the owner of the phone like whether you would like to let that party to access to your data, right? And Facebook also, they stop providing the API for certain developers. So as a data management platform, how do you deal with that situation to build your database?
Yeah, that's a good question. And so we do not want to be the data processor of this information. Again, we think that the first party should be the data processor of this information. This is the information that can be directly related, right, to personally identifiable information or PII data. And for those that you don't know, what we're talking about here is Apple deprecated this thing called IDFA, is ID for advertisers. So whenever you open up an app and it says, do you want to track, do you want to send your information to this publisher? You're saying basically yes or no, you want to send the IDFA. And so like 10 years ago, we used to have perfect marketing. We used perfect user acquisition because we had IDFA and we could easily target. And now we don't have this information anymore, so it's harder to target. So I think that the way that the market is evolving is that, we think first parties should own and collect this information, and that data processors should be, heavily scrutinized, because it kind of goes away from the ethos of blockchain, right? It's a trustless environment, immutable environment. Everything's on chain. We're all agreeing to let our transaction history be on here and recorded forever. And so this is why we have to be very careful about when combining this off-chain and on-chain data together.
I think when it comes to user experience of that you mentioned about kind of like selecting your permissions as well, selecting what you're allowed to share and all of that, it also requires the user to care. A lot of users don't care about their Facebook account, for example, or a lot of users don't care about their Apple account. For me, my Google account is super important, but my Apple account is not as important. And like, we're not even that point of data collection or account management in crypto just yet, where I think we're hitting, except for maybe like high net worth individuals and people who trade and the financial industry, but for everybody else, I don't think we're even at that point. So I feel like it's almost a bit premature to be almost concerned about anything other than just complying with the proper appropriate levels of privacy that a user should have and be respected for.
Yeah. So talking about the UX of the user, so I think we don't have that much of time yet, so maybe this one can be a summary questions for us. So what are the key user experience elements that you consider when building a Web3 platform to onboard the next millions of users for Web3? Maybe we can start with you.
Yeah, for sure. I think the first thing is, obviously simplicity. As I mentioned, like, I think having a frictionless experience right now is kind of, it's easy. I mean, if you think about like Flash games back then, you literally open your browser, you go to like addicting games, and you click on a game, and you're right in the game. There's absolutely no friction, and that kind of step, I think, was needed in order for us to kind of move on to, different sign-on methods and things like that, because people were, people slowly got used to the system and things like that. So having that simplicity, I think many of you guys will probably think this, but hiding all the blockchain aspects in the back end, and finding the balance between the on-chain and off-chain tasks, like what is really needed on-chain and what is really needed off-chain. And many things right now, at least for gaming, I personally don't think we don't need too much on-chain. A lot of it can be done off-chain, and then we can slowly, just build in on-chain tasks, whether it's like redeeming rewards or redeeming your NFTs. But that comes after, the login process, and after you've already interacted with the platform. It gives the user the optionality to explore, further into what the ecosystem or what the product can provide. So yeah, I think simplicity, and then pretty much simplicity, and just creating a better onboarding experience, and just educating the user as they're going through and navigating through the ecosystem is what I think.
Yeah, totally agree with you there. So like when we talk about Web3 games, right, most of the people think like everything of it has to be on-chain. However, it doesn't have to be, right? And even for me, like, I believe that there are some cases like even the users don't need to care about the on-chain part, or don't even need to have the wallet associated with them. For example, like the game developers, they can develop the blockchain technology behind and encourage another target customer, which is like the customizer, the one that involved in the development of the game, but not officially the team. Yeah, so as a gateway for Web3 people, how are you implying your initiatives to onboard users smoothly through the UX aspect?
So I think it's all about the right amount. So the first thing is a Web3 account needs to be true to Web3. It needs to be non-custodial. It needs to be self-custodial in particular. And I think that used to just be an ideal, but it's becoming more and more important because regulations are also starting to clamp down now as well. Now, if you're a game and you're thinking about using a custodial account, you are going to start getting scared of requiring to have money transmitter licenses, custody licenses, and so on and so forth imposed on you as time goes on. And with self-custody, you don't have that. You don't require that because liability lives with the user. And when you combine that need of it being self-custodial or non-custodial, plus the user experience needing to be super smooth, that's when things get actually complicated. If you had a custodial setup, like a Google login is super easy to implement. You just boom, bam, the key is there, you're done. But if you need to do a self-custodial setup, what you have to do is you have to actually leverage on different things that users own themselves, not just their social login. So, and the approach that Web3 does is we use the social login, we use things like their devices as well, fingerprints, we use like different factors that they might own, so multiple social login accounts even, pass keys, which is the new specification to come out, just a lot of different points such that we have the maximum amount of user-owned endpoints that a key is self-custodial for, but it's still very usable. And you can still access it with a social login. Yeah, so I mean, that's our approach to, a general approach to doing it. It's doing it right first and foremost, as well as ensuring that they have the right amount of self-custody and security at every point of the way.
So seamless Web2 experience builds on top of Web3 infrastructure to ensure the securities of user. Yeah. How about you, Peter?
Yeah, I know time is coming up, but I think in short, apart from simplicity, I think a conquer of the panel a lot is actually for Web3, I guess, user applications. Actually, the comparables are not just the Web3 competitors, but I think a lot is actually on the Web2 existing games, existing software. Even for us, we don't see our, I guess, competitors are just the Web3 ticketing system or membership system per se, but actually all the ticketing system, you know, in the world. And I think this is very important because I think in terms of like user journey for like enterprise level or user level, like you need all the basic features or functions that like a normal software could support. On top of that, you'll add on the Web3 engagement layer. I think it's very crucial to actually let people to use your product. You know, if you just have like airdrop and stuff like that with your software, but you can't even support like basic discount code management for a ticketing system, it's really hard to actually persuade like anyone to actually use the product. I think similar to a game, like I think the basic is the game has to be fun. Then, you know, you talk about, you know, the tokens, talk about you know, the NFTs, you know, how to interable the assets and stuff like that. So yeah, just in short on this.
Yeah, for us, so if you think about the big shift in mobile gaming, right? Like what caused mass adoption for mobile gaming? And that's when the App Store switched to allow for free-to-play in-app purchases. And so similarly, I think with Web3 gaming, free NFTs is kind of similar. And so you're seeing like this, because who can't say no? You can't say no to something for free, right? We all love free stuff, right? Everyone loves something free. So I think free is actually going to be what helps drive mass adoption. And the cross-platform combination of bringing Web3 to mobile, because we all have phones in our pockets, right? And so this combination of free, mobile, will drive mass adoption for mobile gaming. And it's as simple as that.
Yeah, all right. Thank you, gentlemen, for really valuable insights that you shared today during this panel. Maybe we give a big applause for the gentleman over here.
Xin một tràng vỗ tay thật lớn cho các vị diễn giả và moderator của chúng ta. Thank you so much for sharing. Now please step forward to take a group photo together. Thank you. Quý vị thân mến, trong một thị trường khi mà thất bại thì chúng ta thấy rất nhiều và thành công thì thật sự khan hiếm. Đối với tất cả chúng ta, ai ngồi ở đây thì đều đang có sự tin tưởng vào innovation, những sự đổi mới, đúng không ạ? Tuy nhiên, với những người dùng mới, làm sao để họ có thể vượt qua sự e ngại, lo sợ để có thể tin tưởng vào một tương lai của Internet? Bây giờ đây chúng ta sẽ cùng đến với panel discussion tiếp theo, phiên thảo luận tiếp theo với chủ đề Fear, Uncertainty and Doubt. How can we still bet on innovation? Trong phần này, chúng ta sẽ cùng phản ánh về những nhà khổng lồ đã sa ngã của thị trường, đánh giá các trường hợp thành công và rút ra những hiểu biết sâu sắc về tương lai của ngành khi chúng ta có những cái định hướng mới trên con đường của blockchain. Please welcome to the stage our moderator, Mr. Eugene Min, Business Development from Ancient 8. And our speakers, những diễn giả của chúng ta, Mr. Khoa Hồ, Tech Lead from Coinbase. Mr. Peter, Co-CIO at OnePod Digital, ex-Executive Director from Binance Labs. Mr. Kyle, Partner, Founding Members at Newman Advisory. And Mr. Josh, Head of Digital Assets Portfolio from Animoca Brands. Vâng, trân trọng mời các diễn giả và moderator của chúng ta.
Hey guys, so everyone, welcome to the last panel of our event. I hope that everyone had a great time at GM Vietnam. If anyone has something they want to complain about, please look for me. And yeah, so our panel today is about fear, uncertainty, doubt, and how can we still bet on innovation, right? I think FUD, this word, not just the speakers, everyone in the room is very familiar with this word, right? Yeah. So we have 4 superstars on the stage today. Let's take some time to introduce yourself. Maybe let's start with Josh.
Sure, thank you. Hey guys, this is my second panel of the day, so I kind of introduced myself before already, but once again, I head up a digital asset team at Animoca, which means I manage the entire balance sheet, the entire treasury operations, all the liquid token trading, market making, derivatives, hedging operations at Animoca. So I'm very familiar with FUD and all the risks and volatility in the market. Thanks.
Hi everybody. This is Kyle from Newman Advisory. So we are part of Newman Capital. So we are building up this new entity because on the way we found that founders out there, they need more help than we expected, and we have been helping out our portfolios. So we will have this entity to sort of help more founders on tokens, on go-to-market strategy, and from time to time, we talk to quite a lot of enterprise as well to try to bridge them into Web3. So on the side, under this umbrella, we also run incubation and accelerators.
Hi everyone, my name is Peter. I lead the OnePool Digital, which is a crypto VC fund for Singapore family office. And then also very familiar with FUD since been joining the industry for a couple of years. And then very excited to contribute to this panel and also a very successful event this week.
Yeah, my name is Khoa. I work at Coinbase. Yes, Coinbase is the biggest crypto exchange in the US. We have over $100 billion of crypto assets under custody, more than 108 million users. And yeah, I'm glad to be here on the panel.
All right, let's maybe start with the first question, right? So how does fear, uncertainty, doubt impacts the willingness of newcomers to enter the market and pursue innovative ideas? Because 4 of you are superstars. I'm pretty sure you get good deals to you guys all the time, right? So what are you guys seeing? Is there more ideas coming to you, or is there less deals coming to you guys now?
Maybe I'll take the first question first, because we talk to quite a lot of enterprise in Hong Kong, because right now you see Hong Kong is under the spotlight because of our new policies of digital access, right? So back in bull market, actually quite a lot of company that wants to get into Web3 from different perspective, leveraging the resources, pushing out different NFT-based CRM system. They want to build presence in metaverse and all those. But from our experience, in the bull market, everybody wants to get into Web3, but because they're so carried away from the hype. So from our perspective, FUD, in a sense that it shakes off quite a lot of companies out there that does not truly need to get decentralized or needs such technologies to sort of incorporate into their system. The reason is that because of the market situation and all the liquidity and everything right now in the community, it sort of calms down the companies out there. They sort of really, the companies that still are willing to talk to us to get into Web3 are those who truly want to set a footprint or mobilize resources to make a move out there. So from our perspective, it's not necessarily negative situation, and yeah, that's my viewpoint.
So from what I'm hearing, you're saying FUD is good?
Depends on the timing, but if it is properly managed, I mean, from taking a business inquiry level, I think yeah.
Yeah. Does anyone have anything else to add on?
Yeah, I'd like to double click on this point. First of all, I think we should just acknowledge a couple objective facts, right? So for example, we have to acknowledge that crypto asset class is relatively immature. It is a volatile asset class, right? And there's many newcomers in the industry. So those are facts. But at the same time, FUD, normally pertains to more, unjustified uncertainty or unjustified rumors about bad outcome of our industry, right? So I think it's a double-edged sword. I think the point is that, those unjustified FUD, they both slow down the adoption from the user side and also slow down the entrance of new builders into our industry, right? So for the users, they're scared about potential loss of their financial assets. They're scared of, in some jurisdictions, in Asia, for example, just participating in crypto can be a crime, right, in certain countries. And then for the builders, right, they're taking a risk with their career. They're taking a risk with their reputation, with their time as well, in addition to, also security or compliance risks they're taking. So those unjustified FUD, they do impact innovations in our industry. But I think that the ultimate point is that, we're all here talking about crypto because we believe in the real value proposition of this technology and the asset class that it creates, right? And I think, so FUD can slow down, sometimes the adoption of our industry, but I think it cannot stop us because, because crypto does offer, stuff that are truly valuable. For example, like trustlessness, decentralization, etc.
Yeah, FUD is definitely not a good thing. But on the price side, let's from a builder point of view. I see FUD sometimes they check out the tourists, they check out the people that in crypto for the money, and then the people who have conviction, then that can cross through the FUD and then just ignore and keep building. They will shy and right to the FUD. Yeah.
All right, yeah. Maybe let's move on to the next question. So we've seen like a few big projects go down, right? What do you think we can learn from those projects, or what are your greatest takeaways from all these happenings in the last few years?
Yeah, maybe I'll start. And to extend the FUD conversation, right? To extend the time horizon as well, looking at the entire crypto history. We had not just recent past, but we had a lot of major blowups in the history of crypto, right? Like Mt. Gox come to mind. So have we learned these lessons and have we progressed? Yes, we have, right? The entire industry is much better, versus like 5 years ago or 10 years ago, however long you want to look at it, right? So with every single sort of failure, I think we do get better and we learn about all the necessary next steps that we need to take to build a much more infrastructure, much better institutionalized setup to continue the industry. So yeah, I think, I actually think FUD is good because it shakes out all the bad actors, right? Like even today when things are happening, if the exchange is not running properly with a big hole in the balance sheet, then you can actually kind of do want it to go away and have, guys like, Coinbase to survive and kind of carry on the torch, right? So I think we do learn a lot, and going forward, we need more transparency, not less transparency. We need more decentralization, right? And we need better and more sensible regulation for the entire industry to kind of learn from the mistakes of the past.
Right. I think I share a similar viewpoint. I think you referencing all the past failures in crypto history. I think first of all, founders have to extract where the FUD comes from first. Is it unjustified FUD from the community, like from your competitor, or is it something that's derived from the system design flaw, from the tokenomics and stuff? So it always goes back to the fundamentals, like where does the FUD comes from, and how do you truly absorb the FUD and then build a better product, appoint it, and then return that to the community?
Yeah, I guess just quick couple takeaways I had on this topic. I guess number one, again, just to acknowledge that market and crypto asset class is very volatile and cycle does come and go. So just number one, to be aware of that. And the second, I guess more importantly, so just to to have a better risk management practices. So for example, so either for funds who blew up, for example, like 3 Arrows, or projects who lost their treasury with some funds or with exchanges that went down. I think really be careful about risk management of your treasury, of your personnel. It is very, very important. And then lastly, I think just the lesson is just to keep building. I think this is almost like cliche, but for example, but it's true because for example, if we look at the biggest player in the industry today, in exchange it's Binance, right? And I'm not speaking as a representative of Binance, just speaking as an industry observer, right? And then CISA always emphasizes on risk management, being conservative, and keeping building, despite Binance being one of the most funded company in our space. And then so far it has been proven to be a successful strategy. So those are my takeaways.
Yeah, I think let's talk about something like just how you mentioned unjustified FUD, right? So let's say, what advice do you have for like a founder that's facing some unjustified FUD? So like sometimes when a founder like is receiving FUD, they go onto Twitter, they chime in, and then they get like FUDed on like 10 times worse, right? So like what advices do you have like to founders that are facing like issues with FUD?
I think just keep on building, right? Just let your actions speak, louder than words. Because usually, I think from what I see, like the FUD is usually around price action. Like tokens launch or NFTs launch, and then price start to drop, and then there's some FUDers, right? Well, you can't really address that point and say, oh no, price should be going up, but you can, demonstrate that you're working hard, you're building by continuing to deliver more and more value to the community, right? Rather than just, go on to a one, PvP battle with the FUDers. I think building is still the key.
And just to add on that, I think one strategy that seems successful is just for projects to communicate facts and communicate fast with the community, right? So maybe the founder doesn't need to come out and make like a personal statements, but just making clear about what's the status quo and what are the potential solutions going forward. And so far, this has to be proven a good strategy for different cases of FUD.
All right. Okay. Let's how can like collaborations and partnerships between established industry players and newcomers actually help like dispel all this FUD, right? Like, do you think like innovations from, if you partner up with existing players in the industry and do something, would it be better than the newcomers coming in and launching it themselves?
Well, I think it definitely helps. Because right now, crypto space is pretty early, right? We need to, rely each other to make it bigger. So from my perspective, a better form of partnership would be to rely or partner with more traditional, like what I call like Web2 traditional corporates, because they have been here in the world for quite some time already. If you, get a chance to partner with these people. Because the logic behind brand marketing is that when you are able to partner with all these existing brand names out there, you're kind of channeling their brand energy to yours, and that's how that's a sort of a public relations strategy as well as to put your name out there with all those players that you're on the same playground with them. So yeah, that's sort of a strategy from my perspective has been like quite effective. I mean, in the last like bull run, you see quite a lot of crypto company, those giant players there, they've been sponsoring a huge event like Super Bowl. They're even buying the naming rights of the basketball arena. Those share the similar logic. So I think through that you can build your confidence in the Web2 audience, and with that they're more comfortable with adopting product and hence mass adoption.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with that. I think, we use that strategy quite liberally. So, one of our subsidiary companies, Sandbox, obviously go out and cultivate a lot of relationship with all the Web2 companies out there. And I think that plays well, that helps with 2 points, right? One point is to really obtain credibility that is lent to us by those established Web2 brands. And another thing is that we are actually educate the Web2 brands as well in terms of what is Web3 and how do we collaborate, how do we work together. So, this is something that we do for all of our projects, and very, very productive.
I think to play the devil's advocate here, so like sometimes like attaching your name to a good brand it's a good thing, right? But what if you attach your name to like a brand and then like somehow there's like FUD on that brand? So like, and then how would you, you know, what would you do about going how would you handle that situation?
Well, I think that is a risk that is hard to, that is the biggest risk of going for strategy like this, because you're sticking the name with that particular brand, right? So I think it also goes back to the how swifty you can be when it comes to like PR crisis. I think right now we adjust this as well. Like just be fast when you see any unjustified FUD. You know, like do an AMA or make an announcement quickly before it escalates to next level. And more importantly, it's truly important to like understand like what community FUD's about and think about like how we can properly adjust them, and it all goes back to like what they need and what we can give, right? So FUD is basically a discrepancy between like these two factors.
All right, thanks for that. I think maybe let's move on to like some examples, right? Like just now you were mentioning Binance, they are the most FUDed company probably in the world, and then what are some other like successful examples of like companies that have received a lot of FUD, and what did they do despite getting that FUD, right?
Well, I think for, just based on memory, I think for most projects that have been around for more than 1-2 years in crypto, they have always had cases of FUD, right? Like if I think about any DeFi project, any game project, any NFT project, right? They always go through these phases. I guess the most important thing is that the project is relevant, right? They're building a product that has a real value proposition, right? So given that they don't have an existential crisis, so those fluctuations in community confidence can be, those can be, those can be water under the bridge if the product keeps being delivered. I think that's the most important thing. I mean, there's so many examples of this, right, across all categories. I guess that's the most important thing. But I guess tactically, as our friends touched upon, I think just the clear and the swift communication with the community would help the company accelerate the process of getting out of the FUD phases.
Yeah, and then, like FUD doesn't just only exist in Web3, right? FUD is everywhere. All the industries have FUD. I mean, one of the recent examples is Tesla. Like Tesla is extremely FUDed, right? Over in the past 5 years, Elon Musk is still being FUDed, and after all these years, what did he do? He delivers, right? And now Tesla is and SpaceX are one of the most valuable companies in the world. So again, we just have to deliver value. We have to ship the product, and if it's good enough, then all the FUD will eventually be resolved, right?
All right. Looking forward, what are like some emerging trends that you guys are seeing, maybe in the industry, and let's not talk about AI anymore. So like, what are some emerging trends that you see like in the crypto industry, right?
Yeah, I mean, so I talked about this before, but at Animoca, we're a consumer-facing technology company. So one of the trends, the trend that we've always been trying to push for is digital ownership of your own content, whether that's your own music, your own education course, your own writings, right? Like that's what we really care about. So for example, we recently bought a company called TinyTab. It's a company based in Israel. What they do is online course, like Coursera. What we did once we bought them was to turn their course into NFTs. So now those courses are NFTs. NFTs are owned by the teachers who create the course. And then they can sell the NFTs to investors, to buyers, right? And therefore tokenizing the content that they own themselves individually. So, this is a trend that we're seeing happening, and also bringing more and more people onto Web3 as well. And we're doing the same thing for musicians as well. We have another project, launching with a lot of musicians around the world who would like to own their IP instead of just relying on Spotify and things like that. So that's that's a very strong trend, and I think that will continue for the long term.
Yeah, I would say another trend that I see in crypto in the industry is that a lot of teams are working on to improve the UX in crypto. Yes, I would say UX is still the biggest barrier that prevent a normie user to enter crypto. So I think that things like emerging technology like a car abstraction, where so yeah, it's helping to onboard. Will help to onboard a lot more users into crypto, so that people can use like DApp without worrying about wallet, without worrying about having triggers with like token approval. Yeah, so I think that will help a lot.
I have a more high-level point about this. I think also, first of all, Wampo Digital, we focus mostly on applications, and our thesis behind that is that, so for example, if you look at this crypto asset class overall, right, so we are like 1.2 trillion total market right now. So Bitcoin is 50%, layer 1, layer 2, including ETH, that's like 30%. Stablecoin is like 12, 13%. So the market cap of applications is less than, it's like 7, 8% of total asset class, right? And then, this is, so starting with that, we think there's a lot of potential within applications. And then if you look at sub-segment, right, so our logic is that, so blockchain product first is an internet product, right? So using the framework of, what are the different segments within consumer internet. So you have e-commerce, you have finance, you have entertainment, including games, and you have advertising, right? And then if you apply those logics to the crypto space, so for e-commerce, so right now, for example, there's PFPs, being sold as luxury, right? For finance, there's DeFi. For entertainment games, there's Web3 games. And for advertising, it's more like a summary of, it's basically a monetization of anything that has traffic, right? So for us, we're really bullish on all those different applications. And our thinking is that the product format of a specific category can change, right? So for example, entertainment, short video didn't exist 5 years ago, right? But for someone who invests in the entertainment consumer internet space, they just have to be open-minded and to be monitoring and observant about the new emerging trends. I think given that we're in an early stage industry, it's very important for us to have an open mind about what are the potential new emerging cases. And that's something that we are very cautious about.
Right. So recently we invested in 2 companies. So the first of all, sadly, is an AI company. Yeah, because the way we look at AI, we look at Web3 is that the ultimate notion of Web3 is to give back ownership and choice to people. So with that in mind, we look beyond blockchain technology. So this AI company we're looking at, they service anime fans, where the fans can input their own prompt and generate their own YouTuber on their own. And then they can literally talk to the VTuber. And then the VTuber that they created has its own like long-term memory, has its own personality, its own responses. The second one is it's not an AI company this time. It's more of I don't know how to categorize this company yet, but the thing they do is that you can download any APK online from App Store, and then you upload to the platform. In 10 minutes time, they can turn the application into a web app, and with 80% performance right now. And even for games, they can do the same thing. And they're working towards a direction where the users have the choice to change the game access. Like for example, I don't like the NPC that I'm talking to in green shirt. They can replace it in orange, like similar logic like that. So I see with the existence of AI and technologies like that, like people, netizens, they have like they're exposed to more choices when it comes to experience and products. I think that is possibly the future where we're heading.
Well, the second idea is really cool, but I think the main point, the main thing is, most important thing is, how can I sign up for the first idea?
How can what, sorry?
How can I get myself a VTuber?
I'll send you the link when we get off the stage.
All right, maybe last question to end off the panel. So just a fun question, what is the funniest or the dumbest part that you guys seen so in your time in the industry?
This is not okay, because when I think about FUD, the first thing I think about is Luna. This is not a funny FUD, it's more So Luna, they did a OTC round that was announced in January 2022, right? And then we all know the crash happened in June. And then when I was at my previous job, I was leading the OTC. I looked at the OTC round for the Luna deal, and then luckily, ultimately, we didn't end up investing. Otherwise, I would get fired very, very quickly. And then I remember just in June, when, I think maybe June 8th, when USD pegged like 10 cents, I was in North America back then. And then in the afternoon, which was like 6 a.m. Korea time, I got a call from Do Kwon. And then he was asking for help. And then anyway, it just, because I've been negotiating with him for a long time on different deals, it just, the most striking thing was just about how, his attitude changed. I understand it's just the human nature, right? When things go well, you're very happy, and then you tend to be very aggressive. When things are bad, you tend to be more warm. Anyway, that's my story.
I think like a pretty funny thought. Like a lot of NFT projects, not a lot, but there's certain NFT projects like rugs, right? And this one really funny rug was about this project that was minting, right? And then they minted it, and I guess the mint price wasn't performing, and then they announced like their founder died during the mint, and then they were gonna just close down the project. And then somehow, because of that news, people pumped into the NFT, and then the NFT price pumped, and then the project was like, oh yeah, miracle, the founder founder's alive again. We're gonna do this again because the price is up. So there's tons of random stuff in crypto. But that's pretty funny, I would say.
Does the two of you have anything to add?
Yeah, for me, I would say there's not a specific moment. But I would say I love crypto because even you're down bad, the memes on Twitter is still the best meme on Twitter.
Yeah, memes on Twitter, the crypto memes on Twitter are the best.
Yeah, for me, like hello. Sorry. Yeah. So last year we incubated a project. It was one of the darkest time in NFT history where free mints was so prevailing, and then we adopted a strategy where before the Genesis mint, we launched a free mint, and then we thought that we're giving away something to the community. But as it turns out, the people who are holding the free token, they keep asking for more. So as a matter of fact, like the lesson for us is that, free mint is technically not a giveaway. It's like a commitment. So looking back, it's kind of like a funny lessons for ourselves.
I think what you did wrongly is you didn't announce that the founder has died.
No.
All right, can you give a round of applause for all our speakers today? All right, thanks for taking your time today.
Thank you so much for sharing. Now please step forward to take a group photo together. Thank you. Vâng, thưa quý vị, phiên thảo luận vừa rồi cũng là phiên thảo luận cuối cùng của chương trình của chúng ta ngày hôm nay. Thủy Tiên rất vui khi thấy được rất nhiều gương mặt vẫn còn ở đây tới lúc này. Và trước khi chúng ta kết thúc chương trình thì Thủy Tiên cũng xin được mời một đại diện từ phía ban tổ chức. Before we come to the end of this event, I would like to invite the representative from our organizers, Miss Jenny Nguyễn from Kairos Ventures, will say thank you to all of you. Please give her a warm welcome, Miss Jenny!
Hello everyone, can I have your attention please? First of all, would like to say thank you so much for every single person still staying here in the stage until 5:15. So thank you so much. Okay, so I just have 5 minutes, so let me make this quick. I would like to say thank you for all of you for joining today. The very good news is we have received the updated number in terms of the total attendees to joining GM Vietnam. Can you guess how many people? 100? 1,000? 5,000? Yes. We have around 5,000 people joining in GM Vietnam for 2 days. So big congratulations to GM Vietnam for the very first time that we organized this in Vietnam. So I would like to say thank you to the exclusive partner, Asian8 and Coin98 for joining us, supporting us a lot to do this and make this happen together. I also want to say thank you to the speakers, to our sponsors, to our media and community partners to supporting us for the whole time. And especially I want to say thank you to the Kairos team for making this happen together. And I cannot do this without you guys, so thank you so much. I know that some of you haven't slept for many days for preparing this, so I really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. So yeah, I just want to say thank you. And I really hope that when you mention about Vietnam, you will think about GM Vietnam as a signature event of Vietnam. And we want to bring Vietnam to the whole world about the culture, about the people, about the food, about the girls, about everything that we want to show to the world. So thank you so much. And I want to have a little bit closing speech with all of you guys. So I want you guys to support me. When I say GM, you say Vietnam. Is it okay? We're gonna do it 3 times. Okay, let's test. GM! A little bit louder. One more time. GM! 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 Thank you so much.
Thank you Jenny, thank you so much. Vâng, thưa quý vị, vậy là chương trình của chúng ta đã đến hồi kết thúc. Cảm ơn tất cả các anh chị đã dành thời gian quý báu của mình để tham dự sự kiện trong 2 ngày của GM Việt Nam. Hy vọng là tất cả chúng ta đã có một khoảng thời gian tuyệt vời tại GM Việt Nam. Thank you so much for joining us for the past 2 days. We hope that you had a great time at GM Vietnam. So let's do one more time. GM! 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 Thank you so much! Vâng thưa, các anh chị ơi, hiện tại thì chúng ta cũng có thể lên sân khấu để